It's the Bennington Show. Tuesday is gone with the wind. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
And I'm Ron Bennington. Now, getting into this this morning, I am trying to tell the people on my show, try not to watch every detail of the tragedy in Orlando because too much of that can be overwhelming. And I came in today and my whole show is overwhelmed because everybody sat around watching that stuff last night.
Yeah, it's. I think that sometimes when you get more time, it gives it more time to sink in rather than
well, then they start to put together the packages. Somebody was a nice guy, and here's all the things they do, and this is their mom, and it's crushing.
Yeah, I'm watching people's parents give statements about their kids. It's too much.
Phone calls that they got that night, texts. It's all just, it's America. That's what it is. It's the United States of America. We accept it. 844 Rock God. 844 Rock God is our telephone number at Bennington Show, and you can hashtag Bennington, which was, I don't know, it seems like the hashtag thing is gone, Veto jumped into some Snapchatting, and I was going around looking at celebrities yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Veto had the best Snapchat out of every celebrity. But what does it matter? They just keep coming at you like drops of rain.
I know. And then they disappear. So even if you have the best snap in the world.
Only known for that second.
Just like a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Then it vanishes.
But the virtual reality is the next big step. And since Chris got into it, and by the way, thanks for our Google Glass, Chris. These things are amazing. I stay at home and watch it every night. He lied to us and just got his own, and not for us. Why do you lie? Because it's fun?
It's not fun to lie.
I now know why your friends won't talk to you anymore.
Because you probably
promised them Google Glass.
Yeah, you said that they could experience.
So you had forgotten all about Google Glass until I brought it up again?
Yes, I did.
I thought you wrote it down and then you circled it. I saw you circle it.
I did.
On a scrap paper.
He's an organized guy. That's a good thing about him. But I'll tell you something else about Chris Stanley. He's back in the button-downs. He's back in the dad shirts.
Yes.
Where do you take, you have a dry cleaner in your neighborhood?
Oh, yes, I do.
So
there's no way I'm ironing anything.
So, but, I mean, we haven't seen any of these in a while. Did they pile up and then finally you're like, I'm going to the dry cleaner and get an $800 bill?
Exactly.
Good.
It's way too expensive to get just something ironed.
Now, he's wearing a dad shirt. Oh, we forgot to do who picked the song today. Chris.
Ron Bennington.
Veto.
Gail Bennington.
Now, do you just say that because he says Ron?
No.
We always have to take it to third, or are you actually thinking?
I saw the name of the band today, and I was like, you know what? If I know GB, it looks like GB to me.
Vanilla Fudge?
Yeah.
What? Because I always eat vanilla fudge?
That's never once happened. Joey Jojo for the tiebreaker. This could be it. You guys finally get the answer.
Gail Bennington.
Come on, dude. Look when the band came out. That's a Ron Bennington call.
I told you guys. Why didn't you go with me?
You've got to get that team together. There's nothing more important in this world, Chris, than teamwork.
Isn't it?
You know?
It kind of seemed like that they don't know us at all. Like they really do bad with
I think they go out of their way not to know us. I think when we're talking, they tune us out. Al in Maryland. Al.
Ronnie, hey, it continues. Last night in Cacaven State Park, maybe 2 hours from D.C., West Virginia, beautiful state park. Guy with an AR-15 kills 3 people, takes off. He's on the run.
What, no reason, just a guy driving up, shooting people in the park?
He was apparently one of those end-of-days preppers. That's what the basic news is reporting. And they just got behind a tree and sniper shot these 3 people at this beautiful state park. It's just the most incredible state park you can imagine.
I never even heard about this story.
Yeah, I didn't.
It happened last night, and they thought he was in New Jersey. They haven't caught him yet. Another AR-15. They did identify the rifle as an AR-15, and I'm in a quandary. My son-in-law has one of the largest shops in that area, gun shop, and I sure hope I got it come from there. But
well, I mean, obviously, you can buy these things legally enough. It's not. There's nothing.
That's right.
Nothing ever comes back to the gun seller.
Yeah, a lot of people have been tweeting me about mistakes that I made yesterday on the way I described the gun. I think it just shows you this particular case of the Orlando shooting. Everything that somebody wants to blame it on, there's an answer that it isn't. So it's like it was a legal gun, that they wanted to say that this person was following Islam, but he wasn't really. He was using it as a guise. They wanted
we don't know all the facts any which way. I mean, it just came out yesterday. This guy was on Grindr. Like, how are you anti-gay and on Grindr? How are you on Islam, but then you don't give a fuck about any of the other tenets other than hating gay people? It's just, it's trying to understand madness.
Yeah.
It's the reason that I gave up my job as a psychiatrist. They laughed me out of the institute. And I go, look, if I can make these assholes laugh, and I do it on the radio. And it was a positive thing. I know a lot of people think it's, and I'm just like, I know a lot of people, they get laughed out of the institute, they turn evil. But I just fucking drop the mic. I go, why am I wasting my time dealing with the criminally insane?
I mean, this is pretty exciting for me because I don't think I really understood your origin story until now.
Yeah, that's my backstory, and I know, like the Joker, I have quite a few of them. By the way, Chris Stanley is the only criminally sane person I've ever met in my life.
Thank you, Ron.
Not even a slight bit of saneness. All the horrible things he does, plots them out methodically, logically.
It's what I want to do.
Like he knows it's wrong. He just chooses to do it.
It feels good.
All right, Ryan say, Veto is great at Snapchat. That's what happens every time he tries to sit down. Oh God. That's just mean.
I don't even understand
there is he's body shaming. And Veto is a lovely guy. He's wearing a coach's shirt today. He's ready at all times. But matter of fact, Stanley, you're out. Veto is my sports modern day Nostradamus. He, as you jinxed, he made the exact pick and actually the reasons that he used. Unlike Stanley picking people by like their helmet color, you logically picked, and it was a game that the league stole.
Yeah, and it was every game in this series. Like the first half has been really entertaining, and then once one team gets like a 12-point lead, they're just like, you know what, we'll get them next time. Game's over. Game's over. But you can't take away a star player and feel like, especially when there's only 5 people on the floor at any time. Well, Vito, you're brilliant about that, and you also came up with that high five that turned so awful. What exactly happened there?
So Kevin Love went over to teammate LeBron James to get a little high five action.
Yeah.
And he just got completely yelled at by LeBron and then has the saddest look on his face.
Now, why did he get yelled at?
Probably just because LeBron was in a bad mood.
That was crazy. The look of heartbreak on his face when he realizes he's not going to get that high five.
Dude, I've been left hanging before, but not because someone was screaming in my face. All right, that gives me, I'm giving LeBron James the Spirit Award. I know people get mad at LeBron for being a team leader, but, what are you going to do?
You need a leader.
You got to lead the team.
Gosh, look at the heartbreak there. It almost seems like it's in slow motion.
All right, Bob from West Virginia has a correction.
Ron, Gail, and Pepper, good morning. The last caller, I just wanted to gently correct him. The massacre did not occur at Capon State Park. It's about 15 miles away. This guy had a compound up in a very remote mountainous area of Morgan County, West Virginia, and he cut trees down, blocked the road. While the 3 victims were clearing the road, he sniped them with an AR-15. One citizen that was helping them cut wood was able to escape, and that's how we know all of this.
So this was just like he set up a trap in the woods to make people get out of their car so that he could shoot them.
That is correct, Ron. He is a sovereign citizen, if you're familiar with that terminology.
No, I'm not.
Okay, do you remember the crazies out in Oregon that took over the national park?
Yeah.
Those are sovereign citizens as well. Just have one of your folks Google it. These people believe they're above the law. and he said that he was actually posting on Facebook that it was self-defense, and that he had talked to a lawyer that agreed with him. It's quite a good. Well, I won't say a good story. It's a horrible story.
It's madness,
but it's getting buried by Orlando for obvious reasons.
All right, thank you so much, Bob. Yeah, that's the interesting thing, that we have all these different news channels, but they move like a school of fish. And even yesterday, you would forget that this election that they had made the most important thing in the world, that it was on 24 hours a day, that's off. I mean, you don't even know there was a Trump or Clinton last night.
Yeah. One thing I keep seeing is people giving the count of the amount of shootings that happened since, X amount of time, since Sandy Hook, since whatever. And the numbers are so overwhelming. I don't want to be incorrect, but I think that it was in the 900s since Sandy Hook.
But here's a cool thing that they do with the numbers. Last night I'm watching, they're saying 49 dead. I'm like, I thought there was 50. They take the shooter off the list. The shooter does not get to make the official list of the dead. I guess he's in a separate list.
Yeah.
And somewhere, I'm sure, in a weird little ISIS they were doing a memorial to him last night. Although now that they find out the gay stuff, he might be out of ISIS.
I think.
Which means his wife will not get benefits, which is sad,
Yeah, it's going to be a quick turnaround for him from pledging allegiance to them, quickly being kicked out.
Yeah, well, this happens. I mean, this is why I think you need a vetting period. I've told that to ISIS before. You got to be very, very careful. They just let everybody in. Anybody who's willing to do something insane. John, and Florida, what's up, buddy?
Hey there, Ron. It hasn't been covered in the news, but the local Chick-fil-A store over by the Pulse nightclub, the manager came in on Sunday very quietly, made a bunch of sandwiches and a bunch of tea, and went and handed them out for all the people standing in line giving blood.
Why would that be a story?
Hey, because it's Chick-fil-A. They open on Sunday. They don't normally do anything on Sunday.
All right, that's a good point. I didn't think that's a double thing for that. They never open on Sunday because that's the Lord's Day. They don't want gays to get married.
Yes.
But I guess they also don't want them to be shot. So there's somewhere in between.
You got to draw a line.
Treating them like they're regular people, but not treating them like they're cattle. Chick-fil-A finding themselves in a gray zone in between acceptance and annihilation. Chick-fil-A, not as far to the right as Islam. That's what I'm saying right now.
They're willing to open up on Sunday, the Lord's Day, to make chicken.
Then open up on Sunday for football. I mean, if that's the way we're going with this, that if the Lord is okay with making sandwiches.
I hope that this makes them see it's okay to be open on Sunday, because there are times on a Sunday I would like a delicious Chick-fil-A
sandwich. Maybe they can start drinking and dancing now, too. Who knows how far they're going to take this. Chick-fil-A, just finding their way outside.
They're still on Footloose rules for right now.
Well, Footloose rules do make a lot of sense, because I remember at a prom, all the kids went over to dance in another town. And then when they came back, they got in a car accident. So no more dancing.
Yeah. The dancing was the problem.
Don't come in here reading that turn thing out of the Bible either. I heard the bird song already and almost started dancing to it. I wonder, how many times, if they use the Footloose rule here in the United States, which, from what I understand, is if Hillary Clinton gets elected, they're going to footloose this place. But how many times would you find yourself dancing when you didn't even know it?
Oh, yeah, you would just be bopping around because you hear something.
Well, that's a good thing. If you're bopping your head, is that a form of dance? I mean, it's using your body.
But maybe it doesn't go into the category of illegal.
I would actually say this. Hey, dude, it ain't called head loose.
Good point.
So I'm going to thrash a little bit, but I'm going to keep my feet locked into the ground.
Does a seated Macarena count?
Who does the seated Macarena? Just like a grandmother at the thing trying to keep up at the wedding. The Hispanic music, and I don't know the name of it, It's the only music that I know that is enjoyed by the entire generations that are alive. They do not break it down the way Caucasians and, you could go to like Gloria Stefan, and there's little babies and toddlers dancing, and then their parents, and then the grandparents, and then there's a great grandmother in a wheelchair. They all love their music, and they don't divide.
Yeah, salsa is that way, but even like with Mexican, that kind of traditional Mexican music, I don't know what you would call that. Regular Mexican.
I have a name for it, but I'm not going to use it today.
But the way you listen to it and new songs that come out don't sound any different songs from 100 years ago.
Right.
And I used to work in a restaurant, and I remember I would go into the kitchen and be like, now is this an oldie station, or are we listening to a new station? Like, oh, this one's new. And I'm like, okay.
So here's what happens if you try to start one of those bands. You're like, okay, let's start a band. All right, we need 7 drummers. Shit, that's going to be expensive. Then I'm going to need another 15 horns. Now, do they come wearing those little white hats, or do we have to provide them? It's going to cost a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, and if you're going to go full mariachi costume, that's going to be expensive.
Well, mariachi is a little bit different than that kind of Caribbean jazz thing that has been around for a long time. But the thing about that, there's no sense in them touring because whatever local band sounds exactly the same. Here is Kevin. Kevin, what's up?
Hey, Ron.
Hey.
How you doing today?
Cool.
Hey, I just wanted to kind of chime in on my 2 cents, man. I've been married to an FBI agent for almost 20 years now, and I've had a lot of gun training myself. I do own several handguns, and we keep weapons in the home, and we have to defend ourselves. There's people that probably want to get back at her. Mm-hmm. And, due to the First Amendment, you have the right to carry arms.
Well, that's not the First Amendment. Mm-mm. First Amendment is free speech, so you have the right to call them an asshole.
Well, then I'm a dipshit. But
that's okay.
If you're properly trained and someone like that opens fire in a particular situation, I feel like if I could return fire, I might be able to somehow kind of offset.
Right, but let's face this. Suppose you're going out to a gay nightclub, and it's Latin night, and you're dancing around and seriously, and no shirt on. The chances are you're not going to have the kind of weapon with you to return fire.
Well, sure you are. If you're a concealing handgun, of course. If you have a concealed handgun license,
where are you going to keep it? In your G-string? I mean, it's Latin night. It's fun night, and there was an off-duty policeman there, and I assumed that he was carrying, because most of the times when you have a nightclub, you have your regular security, then you have an off-duty cop whose main job is to chill people. But I don't think, or I haven't heard, that he was able to return fire at this guy. And I know, we already did this show yesterday where some people think everybody should have a gun. It's the only way for safety.
I know, it's kind of crazy.
And then the other people flee. Nobody should have a gun. I went over and did the compound show yesterday. He ran it, for the first 15 minutes, but then when I came on with him, we agreed. There's nothing we could do. People want guns, and some nuts are going to get those guns. And we do this. So instead of acting like we're all sad, maybe the thing is, this is what it costs to live in America, ladies and gentlemen. Here's all this stuff. By the way, there's nothing we can do, because they're blaming the FBI now. They're blaming the FBI for not knowing this nut. I guess they're going to blame the FBI for not knowing the nut. But until that person breaks the law, how are you supposed to arrest them? Do you want to live in a country where you go, there's a weird person over there saying some shit? And you brought this up yesterday, Gail, about Westboro. Those people are crazy. They fucking put up signs, blah, 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 but they're not dangerous. They're going to, I forget what their tweet was, but God sent the shooter into the fag nightclub. You know, that kind of shit. It pisses everybody off. But Westboro does not go around killing people.
Right.
You can put up with nuts like them who aren't armed. You can say, I hate those people, but no one gets killed. That's the fucking place that we live.
You have every right to be an asshole.
Yeah. Because of the fact that you want these weapons, we all have to understand that a couple times a year, a nut is going to go crazy with one of these weapons. That's it. That's the end of it. There's nothing else to discuss. We're not getting rid of the guns, and this is going to happen. Stop acting fucking freaked out every time it does, because we've already made the plane. We've already laid it down. This is what we do. This is what happens.
And as you were saying about you can't live in a world where everybody is guessing what level of weird everybody is and how dangerous they could be. I remember with the, I think it was the Virginia Tech shooter. Was he the kid who wrote plays and they said he was weird? When that was happening, I knew somebody who was in my same major who was a weird guy, and everyone felt uncomfortable around him. He wrote weird stuff. He romanticized violence. And I thought, but we wouldn't come forward and go, we think he would do something. He was just a weird guy. I mean, how many people have you either gone to school with or, you know, is your coworker where you're like, that guy's weird, I'm going to avoid him?
Look, I'm going to bring up somebody whose comedy makes everybody uncomfortable. Then he goes around making and selling his own spaghetti sauce. But has Mike Racine done anything that the police can just step in on? No. They can't. And yet, I see it for what it is.
Maybe the FDA, that tomato sauce.
What kind of sauce?
Tomato sauce.
Tomato sauce. He actually just went for that tomato sauce. I don't even know if that's an accent, some of the stuff you do.
I'm the weirdo.
Set me free, why don't you, babe?
Well, there's an update on the Virginia shooter. He was caught in Chester, PA.
Oh, Chester, PA.
Really?
Yeah. Now, how can you be a white supremacist and end up in Chester, Pennsylvania?
Not sure. They have his name, but they know not too many other details.
This is the West Virginia shooter, right?
Yeah.
How do you get to Chester?
I guess car.
Really?
Matt.
Oh, hey guys. I'm a cop in New York, and in a really, really bad neighborhood. And I've been on a lot of scenes where the guy who got shot had a gun, his friends had guns, the people who were hanging out on the street had guns. Like, there's this like misconception that if you have a gun, then you can stop a crime somewhere, and it's nonsense. Like, guns, the more guns that are around, it just ends up the more chaos and crap that goes on, but people still end up getting killed.
Matt, don't you understand the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun? You know, I brought this up yesterday. It's very funny because a lot of the police are always, you know, big on Second Amendment. And you're like, you're the dudes that drive up into this place, you know?
It drives me absolutely crazy because I'm anti-gun, but everybody I work with is pro-gun, and I don't understand. I feel like I'm in, like, a crazy place when I'm, like, in the precinct because it's like, we're all afraid that someone's going to pull a gun out and kill us. Like, why do we want these guns around? I want to be the only one with a gun. I am a cop. I would love to be able to walk into a scene and be like, well, at least I know I'm the only person here with a gun. But
right.
That's not the case. They all have better guns than me.
And the weird thing is a lot of reasons that people want guns is to say because they don't trust cops. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, if the government tries to send, you're like, where the cops are in the government, they're also part of the community. I don't think they're going to want to take over their own country.
And honestly, now that I am a cop, it's really disenchanting when you see who cops are. Most of us are either like meatheads that wanted to be a cop all the time, and they're like the jock that didn't get to become like a gym teacher, or like the guy, or like it's like their fallback job. They needed health benefits at some point. Like there's no conspiracy where there's like faceless army of people that are trying to get you. Like,
right.
It's just a bunch of morons. Like, I'm a moron. Like, I mean, I just want to go do my job and go home. I don't want to get shot, you know?
All right, man. Thanks for calling, dude.
Later.
Peace. it's funny. I was bringing up with Keith the cop, and he was a cop in New York City all those years. I guess he started 80s or 90s. You know, when the city was even rougher. He's been in every bed. Never once pulled his gun. It's so weird. You would think if anyone would ever have to use their gun, it was a cop. But it's a rare thing to even hear about a cop who pulls his gun and shoots it.
Which is why when they pull off something completely heroic, or they shoot someone that is endangering someone else, people are like, "Oh, thank God the cop was there." But it's not something they do every day.
No,
this was like a once in a career kind of moment.
That's true. And then people don't realize it. Like, it's not like the movies. It haunts that dude. You know what I mean? Like, he sits around and relives that. But you'll never be like watching Lethal Weapon where they're ever like, dude, we killed a lot of guys yesterday. And I kind of get the feeling we're going to kill a lot of guys tonight. I mean, this job has gotten really strange for us. They're constantly shooting. I mean, if you watch, I don't know how many guys that Mel Gibson shot in those movies, but we're just sitting around and going, cops don't normally shoot anyone in a career.
Yeah, and then in films, it's also, they do it with ease and then they just move on. Like,
oh yeah, they don't have any problems with it. The weird thing is, the cops have, most of the time in your career, you never shoot a person, but you've strangled at least. Because those are the things, normally when you hear about a cop, he's strangling somebody, not shooting them. And that's the only ones that you hear about. By the way, if on this show anybody would have been a cop, who do you think it would have been?
Veto.
Yeah.
Veto,
we all
definitely.
thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Veto seems like a cop.
Why?
Come on, dude.
You could be a cop.
You stink of cop.
You do. You do. Don't you think it's weird no one smokes pot in front of you?
Never.
Once I saw Chris yell Veto and then ate the fucking roach. Still lit. Then he thought he was really cool. I don't know what it is, but that fucking high five thing is the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life.
It's great.
It's so fantastic.
There's nothing funnier than seeing a grown man get a face job. Well, you see who's in charge there. I mean, he can't even say, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude?" I'm trying to high five with you. We're winning.
Just at least give me this high five. You embarrass me in front of everyone.
I know. My folks are watching this. By the way, that thing yesterday with Mike Penziga turned into a nightmare. Chris, you were supposed to tell him where it was, how to get in. He went and stood in the lobby. Then I'm upstairs. I'm on the compound thing going, hey, is Mike Penziga here? And in the meantime, he thought we bumped him.
Oh, Jesus.
He said he didn't understand why he was treated that way. You didn't contact him, and he was under the impression that it was in this building anyway, and he really had his feelings hurt.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I hate that.
I think it's funny, though, that Chris runs his own, I guess it's Punk'd. Is that it? And you're like,
I don't
I mean,
punk anyone.
somebody should be watching, or else Punk is fucking sociopathic, you know?
Yeah, if you're not filming it, it's for no one's entertainment but your own.
There's no punking going on.
Here's Philip. Philip, what's up?
Yeah, I'm calling from Oregon. Kind of had a point on the gun control issue.
I don't feel like we're doing a gun control show, but okay.
I know you're not, but I've been listening for the last couple of days, and I listen to you guys religiously. And
Thank
I know
you, my
this
friend.
discussion comes up, and I love the show. I love the new format. I live in an area, and I listen to you guys all the time, and I love your different point of view, because I live in an area out here where I'm not very far out of a major city, but if we need the police in the middle of the night, it's 40 minutes to an hour before they respond to your house.
Right.
And, I'm a hunter. First off, I'm not a big gun nut. I've got hunting rifle, shotgun. I do have a handgun at home. I guess my point is if nobody in this world had a gun, I would be perfectly comfortable giving my guns up. If I knew I could always come face to face with somebody that didn't have a gun.
Mm-hmm.
But we've shown with the war on drugs that you can't really keep illegal things out of the hands of criminals. And so I think that's what a lot of people's fear is, I'm a law-abiding citizen. If they were illegal, I would give mine up. But then that person I come face to face with out in the backwoods somewhere, hours from civilization, now all of a sudden they know they have a gun and I don't, and I have my family with me. It's just a scary situation.
Look, you're in Oregon. You need lots of guns. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you got to just combat the fucking weed farmers. But
yeah.
But yes, here is the point I made a little while ago. Let's stop acting shocked, though, that if everybody can have these guns, that nuts are going to get the guns and then use them. We shouldn't ever act shocked. We shouldn't act like, oh, this is why we need more guns, which it tends to do, and then why people say, this is why we need less guns. This conversation is bullshit, and we have it all the time, and this is just something that fucking happens, and it's ugly, but we've accepted it. We've all accepted it. And now, also remember that there's this thing of, Chick-fil-A gave burgers, and look at the line of that. That all comes in no matter what it is. Every single time. And then we're supposed to feel good about those things. I'm not saying that we live in the Matrix, but it seems like if this was a simulation, this is something built directly into the game.
Yeah, it doesn't take any time for those kind of love wins kind of messages to come out.
Orlando strong, Orlando pride, whatever.
Yeah.
Paris loves Orlando. Orlando's later going to love some other town. It's just what we do, And yes,
I agree.
Your thing, Philip, it's fear-based. You say, I'm fearful of this thing happening, so I need something to bring the fear down. So when people say there's no, reason for a gun will make somebody feel less fear. It's like fucking taking a pill. That's all.
And I agree, and it is fear-based. And a prime example is the small town I live in is about 15 minutes out of a fairly big city. And we had it was not very long ago and less than a half a mile from my house. It was drug related, but somebody broke into a house in the middle of the night, realized they were in the wrong house, got shot at, broke into the next house down, killed somebody. It was an hour and a half before police responded.
But how can you be 15 minutes out of a big city and have that happen?
Well, because we rely on county sheriffs. We do not have county that patrols our area, so city police do not respond. So by the time they actually scramble SWAT and then send state police out, which we are short on, there's one state police officer in the middle of the night that patrols a 100-mile area. If something happens to you within the city limits, and it's not a major city, don't get me wrong, this is one of the bigger cities in Oregon.
Yeah, that still doesn't mean anything, though, right?
If something happens to you within the city limits, yes, police are a lot quicker to respond. But if you're in the county, they do not have patrols it's not 10 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning, and it's advertised.
I'm sure that guy's pulled over the road just sleeping in his car anyway. I mean, it's Oregon.
What else?
What are you gonna do?
It is, but it is fear-based, and I cannot agree with you guys more that something has to be done. And you guys have touched on it before. We live in a society where it's okay to show violence on TV nonstop, but heaven forbid your kids see two people making out on TV.
I know. Nobody can see a tit. Still can't see a tit, but we're okay with blood. All right, thanks, Philip. Best of luck to you, my friend.
Yep.
All right, peace.
I would be interested to find out what that length of time from when the shooter called 911, declared, allegiance to ISIS versus how quickly they were able to find and locate where he was, because I know that that's something that's kind of been in the conversation recently.
You mean in the building where he was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know that's something recent conversation, like John Oliver did a segment on it about 911 kind of not having the same capabilities as most apps in your phone, where you can get an Uber to you in 2-3 minutes, but 911 doesn't have the capabilities of somebody calls, but they're not able to tell you their exact location. So, I've been wondering kind of how that reaction time was.
Here's Debbie. Debbie, what's up?
Hi, I just had an observation, and maybe I'm just crazy and
Seems
it's
like it.
faceless, but that kid named Justice that texted his mother in the middle of the night.
Uh-huh.
I think it was 106 or 206, and he's like, "I love you, mommy. They're shooting the place up," and then he kept texting her, and I think by the time he got shot, it was like 49 minutes after the hour.
Right.
Did police not come in?
Well, no, they came in, they circled the place, tried to figure out where he was. They tried to talk to him. I mean, there's a book written on the way that you're supposed to handle a hostage situation, but this guy was also a fucking mad dog maniac, and he wasn't following any book himself. The people that were in that bathroom said they heard him laughing hysterically while he was fucking shooting into the stalls. Yeah. I mean, this is just fucking crazy shit. It's nuttier than any movie you'll see.
But that's where, if my kid was in that bathroom, I would want the SWAT team storming the place.
I know that we're all second guessing the cops, the FBI, Homeland Security, but the truth is, this guy was a fucking lunatic. Lunatic. And he wasn't acting in any way that a person who had something they wanted to achieve would act. Everybody came after the guy who sold him the gun. The guy's like, look, here's the paperwork. Everything got done the right way. I fucking sent this in. It came back that he was okay to buy a gun. I sell him a gun. That's it. There was a thing in the Philly paper today. A woman who had never purchased a firearm, anything in her life, she went in and bought one of these guns. The AR, what is it? 15. 7 minutes. 7 minutes it took for her at $800, and you go home with this thing. These are the laws that we have set up. These are the rules that we have set up. Why everybody is shocked and then trying to figure out, whose fault it is. Trump yesterday said we should have sent him back. He was born here. He was born in not that far from Trump. He was born in Queens. And let's face it. I mean, Chris, I'm not trying to be, but this is very common in Queens, this type of thing.
Well, it's a melting pot in Queens.
I look at it, anyone who uses a razor on their forehead, right, I see that as a fucking crazy sign right off the bat.
You mean the creating their own hairline look?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And using it with a razor. Now, normally they go to a fucking barber for this, but they're going to a barber once a goddamn week and saying, oh, make sure you take that razor. Treat my forehead the same way you're treating my sideburns. I see this as a fucking red flag. That's madness to me.
That should maybe go on the list of questions to ask.
John in Iowa, what's up, buddy?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Cool in the gang.
Hey, love the show, guys. Really do.
Wonderful.
I can answer that woman's question about why SWAT teams and cops don't rush in. You definitely have to assess the situation before you go in. A lot of guys will make improvised explosive devices, and some of them can be large. If you have access to gunpowder and anything easy, you can make one. And so it just really, there's a huge picture when they don't just want to rush in and cost people more lives than they can save.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is what these guys, it's a SWAT team. They train on this every single day of their life. So for us to sit around and go, why didn't they do this? It's like when most people who never watch football suddenly find themselves watching football and they're saying, well, why aren't you doing it this way?
And I believe that they did report that he did have some sort of device on him that made them feel like it could have turned into an explosive situation.
Randy, literally.
Yeah.
Randy,
Yes, sir.
you're on the air. How are you, pal?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Hanging in there. You're on the air now, Randy. You can talk about whatever you want.
Okay. All right. I'm in the National Guard.
Cool.
And I'm in the infantry, and we train on stuff like that for overseas. And I'm also on the civilian side. I'm a firefighter, and we work with the police departments and stuff like that. These guys have a rule book they have to go by, and they have to try to talk to the individual to get him to surrender. They also have to take into consideration if they could do it peacefully, or if they have to send them in there, then they have to look at possibly hurting or killing more people.
Yes, I would agree with you 100%. I mean, this is not something that just happens and it's improvised. They study hostage situations every day of their life, all the way around. People are sitting around talking about the FBI. Why didn't they go and pick this guy up? There's no crime. You know what I mean? There is no crime. And, we sit around and the same people that are saying you should go and pick this dude up for hate speech are the same people who are saying this country has gotten too PC. You just can't go and grab people. No, Randy.
That's correct, because you will end up, if you start doing something like that, then you look like Russia did back in the 80s, where if you talk bad about us, we're going to put you out in the middle of nowhere in Siberia.
Right.
Off.
Right. That's also that same exact thing is that everybody has this thing that would solve this one problem, but you start more problems by doing that. And you end up in a country that you don't want to live in. Hey, here's Kyle, California. What's up, Kyle?
Hey, guys. Ronnie B, Gail, how are you?
Cool,
Hey,
man.
what's up?
I work in bars and clubs and venues all over Southern California. And when the shootings in Paris happened, out here in LA, I had done sound for Eagles of Death Metal like 3 months before.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I've installed sound systems in gay clubs. I've worked in gay clubs. And I hear, when something like this happens and hear people immediately go, it's the gun's fault or it's the terrorists, it's whatever. Ron, you just said, you can't show a tit on TV.
No, it'd be unbelievable.
Look at what, no one actually saw Janet Jackson's boob on that Super Bowl.
Nobody.
However, no one actually saw it, and it broke the world.
Yeah. And I've seen people said they were sitting there with their children and tried to explain it to them. I've seen fucking broadcasters say that. The fucking long neck prick who does Sunday Night Football.
Collinsworth?
Yeah. He said that he had to sit down and have a talk with his sons. I'm at my house. We were fucking rerunning it and pausing it, trying to see whether we saw a tit or not.
Couldn't see it.
Couldn't see it.
It's ridiculous. But yet, tonight, if I put on, NBC at 10 o'clock, it's Law and Order, shoot everyone in the face.
Right.
And I think that there are things that we can do outside of trying to keep Muslims out of the country or outside of taking the guns away from everybody, that can change our culture in a way that's more at the core of what the problem is.
Look, we live in a fucking weird culture. We live in a violence-based culture. I mean, even if you take something that's considered a family movie like Star Wars, they put in the amount of people who have died in all the Star Wars, and it's in the billions, right? Because they'll just blow up planets. They don't give a fuck. So everything we have, but there can't even be something sexually based without immediately going to an R rating or hearing somebody say fuck. Uh-oh. You say it 3 times, that's an R rating.
That's an R rating.
Yeah.
And I always think it's interesting. You want to keep a weird 22-year-old kid or dude inside, show some titties on TV. He'll stay inside all day.
Yeah, man. Just fucking we are who we are, and we're not changing. This shit comes up all the time. Americans are kind of fucking odd.
I know a lot of people are bringing up other countries that have similar gun laws as we do, and yet they don't have the amount of shootings we do. It's why I think the problem is so hard to pinpoint, because you can't really nail down an answer to fear, and you can't really nail down an answer to just mass insanity or anger or hurt. These aren't like laws. You can't like make a law that will fix that. It's part of some sort of cultural difference.
Look, also, we try to talk about the American culture, but we're a ton of other cultures, right? All together in one. A lot of times if you look at Switzerland or whatever, those people are all the same fucking background, right? They didn't throw a fucking Puerto Rican Day parade. They're not going to have this kind they kind of come from the same culture. I don't know what it is about America, but it is what it is. We're not getting rid of fucking guns because people want guns, and they want a lot of them, and they want them to be incredibly fucking high powered. I brought up my phaser thing to Ant yesterday, that maybe the way out of this is fucking technology, and we just keep working till we get a fucking Star Trek type phaser, put it on stun, and then he goes, how do I know that the other guy isn't going to put his on kill? At no fucking point do you want to not. We like the idea of killing is very much in our fucking DNA. We watch movies about it, and if you have a small movie where somebody doesn't get killed, you're like, people will say immediately, nothing happened in this movie. Like they consider killing something happening.
Yeah. Nothing was at stake.
Right.
Nothing was lost or gained.
Here is Alan in Sacramento. Alan.
Hey, buddy. I wanted to go back to the gentleman who called a little earlier talking about the quote-unquote good guy with a gun scenario.
Yeah.
The problem with this is, and studies have shown, and experience in the military has shown, that people who are not trained to work under high-stress situations, which an active shooter situation undoubtedly is, lack the ability to shoot straight. Even police officers who undergo a modest amount of firearms training cannot shoot straight in high-stress situations. Only the military, with their active shoot house situations and training, get the training, get the experience needed to push the adrenaline response down so that you can control your muscles. Anybody who's ever been in a fight for their life will understand the situation, what I'm talking about, because a professional fighter will teach you got to control your breathing. You got to control your swinging. This is exactly the same sort of thing that Muhammad Ali did with George Foreman in the rope-a-dope.
Mm-hmm.
He made him expend all his energy. He couldn't swing worth a rat, and then he won. Then Muhammad won the contest. What I'm getting at is that for every one of these cowboys out there that says, "Oh, you just need a guy with a gun in the thing," chances are that guy is going to get one shot off. It's going to go wild. The active shooter will turn and shoot the hell out of that son of a bitch, and now he's got another gun. So I don't think that anybody with an ounce of sense is going to actually say, what we need is more people with less training and more guns. But that's just my opinion.
All right, Alan, thanks for your opinion. What he was talking about is, even throughout the years of military, one of the things that the military has been working on for many years is to bring down the number of people who freeze up in combat. And there are tons of people who've been trained. And it gets less every war. If you look at it with World War II, it was a fairly high percentage, and we bring it all the way down to now. But they have the training, they get there, there's a firefight, and they just crouch down and don't do anything. They just literally freeze up. And we've got that number way less, but we're also not drafting people who don't want to be there. But, and they say in video games has actually been helpful since the start of that. But there are just a percentage of people who will not fucking shoot, who won't do it. I mean, if you look around this place, who wouldn't shoot?
And Veto wouldn't shoot.
Veto would shoot. It's Joe. Joe wouldn't shoot. No matter how much training he had, he ain't going to pull the fucking trigger. Gail, I see her shooting probably, I hate to use the word frag, but I could see her shooting someone. And I also think Coach is going to be a deadeye. I mean, Coach is as cold as ice, you know?
Coach wants the shot.
Coach will shoot first, I think.
I think Coach would also torture. I want to be totally honest about it.
She's a waterboarder.
Yeah.
Coach.
Hey, Jess. Jess, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Ron, thanks for taking my call.
That's my job, Jess.
Oh, gosh. Have you talked to Fezzy about what happened?
Yeah, I talk to him every day.
Oh, man, I bet you he's pretty distraught. But, my point is this, that, the gun control people and the liberals and conservatives should agree on this. Starting today, whoever is on the terrorist watch list, whoever it is, if they buy a gun, they get notified by the FBI again. And the FBI then pays them a visit.
By the way, this guy was no longer on the list, I believe. There wasn't anything that they could stick to him with, right?
Yeah, I get it. Well, then that should be changed. If you're ever on that terrorist watch list, or if you have ever been interviewed, you should always be, then the FBI should always be alerted when someone like that buys a gun so they can,
let's play this thing though, because everyone's like, why isn't this guy being watched? I don't know how long this list is, but I'm sure it's pretty strong. How many people do you think it takes to just check up on one person, monitor phone calls, computers, where he's physically
like
going? I mean, it's got to be what, 30, 40, 50 people per person if you're going to do it in shifts, at least.
But that's what I'm not talking about. That I'm only saying, like, during the occurrence of, okay, let's say he goes in and he buys a gun, just a gun, nothing else, but just a gun. That should set off a red flag. Like, for instance, his father should, if that guy ever buys a gun again, there should be some notification going to some enforcement agency.
All right, so let's suppose you're right, and we found out that the guy bought a gun legally, right? Then what? Nothing happens until he goes into that place and shoots. Even if his name popped up, hey, this dude bought a gun, someone drives by his house and the FBI, what are you doing with that gun? I'm protecting my home with it, right? There's nothing changes in this story. Nothing.
I think that could have been a huge deterrent.
How?
That's all I'm saying.
The guy didn't even care that he died. The fact that he's surrounded by fucking police wasn't a deterrent. He was a mad dog.
Well, it's got to start somewhere, and I'm thinking let's start there.
Okay.
We're not.
All right, we'll do it. I'll get in touch with him, and every time one of these guys buys a gun, they'll get talked to. I just think we're in the same fucking position. I think that we want to believe that there's some kind of answers or safeties. I don't think it is. I mean, even owning a gun in your home doesn't stop somebody from fucking shooting you while you're sleeping or shooting or come blasting in. You're not ever 100% safe. Nothing makes you safe. Cops have been standing there before and people walk up behind them and shoot them in the back of the head. Happened in, I think it was last year here in New York.
Yeah.
No reason for it. Some young kid, I think he was an Asian kid or something, but immigrant family, he's becomes a cop. And this is what happens very early on. We live in a crazy fucking society.
It was two cops sitting there in a car, both with guns on them.
Yeah.
And it's true that they're you can take all these precautions, but you can't prevent just random horrors sometimes.
Scott in Vegas.
Yeah, you there?
Yeah. What's up?
Okay. I was going to bring up the fact, I think that there's a large amount of polarization in the U.S. right now because if you look at, where the police are getting all these weapons and they'll come in for, low-level warrants and stuff like that using, assault rifles and SWAT trucks and stuff like that, they lose funding if they do not use that equipment because that's all based on grants from the Department of Homeland Security. And when you guys were talking earlier, there's, somebody mentioned the fact that it's quite a cultural issue and that there are places that have the same amount of guns, but not the same level of crime. And I think a lot of that kind of ties into the police being kind of over-militarized from getting these grants, and they know that if they do not use the stuff for, pretty much everything, that they're going to lose that money and lose that equipment. And one of the things that you're seeing a lot as far as politically with all the candidates is, they're talking about increasing background checks for gun shows and increasing background checks for this and that. But at the same time, nowhere do you see them talking about outlawing private citizen-to-citizen sales. And that is something that goes on, tons every day with no paperwork, no background checks, no anything.
It's unbelievable. That part is unbelievable. By the way, Chris just figured out how many names are on the watch list.
400,000.
400,000. Now, we were just sitting here saying, I'll use 20 at the minimum, but I'm sure it's way higher, of how many people it would take to keep an eye on one person around the clock. It would why don't you just...
interject?
Yeah.
And sorry to interject here, but I was just going to say, after, and I'm not going to get too political, but the Snowden leak showed we have massive intelligence frameworks in place. When you actually look at a lot of this stuff, they monitor phone calls, they monitor Google searches, they monitor all this stuff. And so, if the framework had not expanded past a certain point where it is so large, and they've come out and said this themselves, that they have literally so much information on everybody because of the amount of spying they're doing, that they can't even keep up with it all. So I think that probably needs to be, somebody needs to take a look at that and kind of refine that because we obviously have clear indications that the father was, both the parents were Afghani citizens that had immigrated to the States. And then, he obviously has, some correlation or tie to that through his family. And if you look at it and you say, all these encrypted messaging apps that do end-to-end encryption, you can't go back and prove, hey, this guy wasn't talking to ISIS or he was talking to ISIS because, you've created basically, it goes back to the polarization issue where you've created a thing with law enforcement versus the private sector because of that kind of stuff. And you're basically making people feel insecure and wanting to move to more secured messaging apps.
All right. Thank you, my friend. When he brings up about the cops being, militarized now, I know in my fucking town where I grew up, the cops look like Andy Griffith. You know what I mean? They were just one single dude driving around in a car. He didn't have a vest. He had a sidearm, but that was it. I don't. When you look at SWAT busting in, it looks exactly the same way as it did when you see, Navy SEALs going into a place in Afghanistan. It's no different at all. And again, how are you going to blame them? How do they know what fucking weapons the guy has in his house now? Because there wasn't people sitting around with semi-automatic weapons when I was fucking younger. People had a shotgun, a deer rifle, or a handgun. That's as far as it fucking went. Now, who knows how strapped anybody is. It's our buddy Pit Doc. Pit Doc,
hey, Ronnie.
Hey, pal.
I think for all these people who are arguing that we need more guns or bigger guns or anything, I think you should just ask them two questions. One, how many guns do you have? And two, seriously, how big is your penis? Everybody seems to be thinking that AR-15. I've had discussions with the people since Saturday about this. They say, "Oh, need my AR-15 for defense, protection, stuff like that." And my question is, what kind of situations are you getting in that you're going to be expecting military people, military forces to come after you?
They're afraid of the government, dude. They're afraid of their own government.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit ridiculous because guess what? If they're going to kill you, They'll kill you. They have guns. They have nuclear weapons. They're not going to stop. If you have an AR-15, they will come after you with tanks.
You got to watch a little film called Red Dawn.
Yes.
And I don't mean the reboot. I mean 80s Red Dawn.
Avenge me!
Yeah.
Hey, Ronnie, at least I know how to kill a person by hand. So, first day of medical school, my anatomy professor said, here's the way you can kill a person with one blow. And ever since then, that's the coolest professor I've ever had.
Well, let me just say this, Pit Doc. Thanks for fucking ruining my phones now by saying everyone who has a gun has a small penis.
Because just ask him that question.
He just said ask.
Yeah, he just pissed off a ton of people.
I'm sure I did.
A ton of, I'm going to say, average penis-sized people. All right, buddy. Peace. Pit Doc, going back to the small dick thing, which you could always get to men with. No one ever acts like with women. Well, you're just compensating for your small tits.
That's what it is.
Nicole.
Hi there.
Hey.
How are you today?
Well, I'm just fine. What can we do for you?
Well, I was calling to respond to the gentleman who said that the good guys with guns would actually make things worse because they're not properly trained.
Yeah.
That's actually factually incorrect because I myself know about 150 civilians that take it upon themselves to do tactical training to make sure they can handle themselves when they carry.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not a requirement.
Oh, no, it's not, but it's part of responsibility being a gun owner. And the problem with stricter gun laws is the fact that it only hurts the law abiders.
Right. We are going to have, with these guns, Nicole, and I'm going to agree with you, 99% of the people aren't going to take their fucking semi-automatic rifle and run into the mall and shoot people. The problem that we have is somebody's always going to do that. So we're going to have these stories time and time again. That's it. We accept it, right? You accept it, right?
Exactly.
You accept the fact that these 50 people died, but that shouldn't have anything to do with you having guns. So, that's where we are in this country. To act any differently is insane.
And what I always say is, I don't understand. The same people that have that logic to make gun laws more strict are the same people that should be screaming, well, people shouldn't drive because a couple of drunk drivers have killed innocent people.
Well, it's a totally different situation. I know that that gets brought up, but there are reasons to have a car. There's only one reason to have a weapon, and so that the weapon does have to stand that scrutiny. But the American people have decided, and I mean, I think by good numbers, that we don't care if gays get shot up in a club. We don't care if people get shot up at work. We don't care. We want our guns. When we didn't care,
hold on.
Yeah.
No, we do care, and there's a dark side to life. But because there are bad people out there that do bad things, that should not prohibit me from being responsible from any.
It doesn't prohibit you in any way because you feel that not only do you not want to give up guns, you don't even want to give up certain types of guns.
Right.
Right.
So
there we are.
you accept that this is, you're putting that worth, that's to you more important than random shootings happening constantly, and that these types of things are going to keep happening.
The problem is you're not going to stop the criminals from getting their hands on guns.
Yeah, we'll never know. We will never know whether that is true or not true, because we're always going to have lots and lots of guns. Thank you for calling us, Nicole.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Here's Bob in Sacramento. Bob.
Yeah, hey, what's going on, man?
Hey,
listen, you guys were touching earlier on, the television censorship, what's okay to show and what's not.
Yeah.
Sons of Anarchy, which went for 7 seasons, every time they had a violent, shootout or something like that, maybe 10, 20 people called in and complained. Whenever you saw Jax Teller's ass, fucking thousands of people calling in to complain, you know what I mean? And I think that's indicative of it,
We are totally okay with violence is acceptable, sex is not. If you think of yourself, how many times were you given violent toys when you were a little kid, like you were given guns or whatever, right? But give a kid a sex toy and
take that kid away from that parent.
This is a strap-on. You can pretend like you're a boy. What do you think?
Or you can pretend you're in puberty. But that would be, the crazes.
Yeah, last season of Sons of Anarchy, they had a sex scene between Kim Coates and Walton Goggins. The two characters are Tig and Venus. And because Venus happened to be a transgender man, they had hundreds of thousands of complaints about that one particular sex scene.
Of course.
Which leads to the homophobic, side of society. So you can fucking shoot somebody in the face right on the show and then show the blood coming out of their fucking head and their brains, but you can't show two guys having sex.
All right, thanks. Peace. Mike in Philly. What's up, Mike?
What's up, Ronnie B?
Yeah.
Hey, man, I just wanted to comment, as a responsible gun owner, I don't know why our side is not willing to concede that if you're just owning a gun to protect your family, which I am, I have a daughter, I own a handgun and a shotgun. That is more than enough weaponry to protect your own home. I mean, you're not going to have a crew of 5 guys seeking your house if you're just a middle-class person that doesn't have $100,000 in cash or drugs in your house. A handgun and a shotgun is perfectly fine. I kind of see the point of the other side that these large magazine weapons, the AR-15s, I have no problem if they're outlawed to be sold to regular civilians. What the hell's the point? You don't need that. They're not taking your right to defend your family away. A handgun or a shotgun works just fine.
My father had a shotgun, in the bedroom closet his entire life, my entire life. But our doors were also unlocked in our neighborhood, Wasn't that big of a deal. There wasn't an extreme feeling of paranoia about that when I was younger. There is now. Whether it's deserve it or not deserved. I'm just saying here is a gigantic difference in the way Americans feel and act. Mark in Colorado.
Yeah, I heard on MSNBC and Fox News, a general was on there, and he said the only reason to have an AR-15 is to kill people. Now, that's the only reason.
Well, it's that and sports shooting. I mean, it's not like you hunt with it. It's, you could go out and play with it, and I'm sure it's a blast.
Have it at a shooting range.
Yeah.
But don't have people buy it. They should ban all assault military weapons.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Here's Jeff in Minnesota.
Hey.
Yeah.
How you doing? It's not the rifle. He was in there for an hour. It could have been a musket. He would have had time enough to kill them people.
No.
And wasn't he beating on his ex-wife? That should disqualify him right there if there were charges brought. And
there weren't charges brought.
Well, then why was he?
Why was
he able to do that?
Why was he able to beat his ex-wife?
No, why was he able to buy a gun if he was beating on his ex-wife?
Because there was no charges against him. She was afraid to, bring charges. It's a very common thing. This only came out after the fact. I know a lot of people want to blame the FBI and Homeland Security, but I can't imagine the enormous amount of this. And between the military, Homeland Security, FBI, CIA, state, local police, a gigantic part of our money goes to the safety issue, the taxes that we pay. It's by far the biggest thing that we put money into. Some people say it's as much as 50%. This still happens. This is it. This is what you got. Let's go over here to Nathan in Arizona.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, I want to call about that last. I'll be nice about it. He made a very dumb comment. There's a lot of us out here that have very big how to put it. I mean, well, I was talking to the girl. A lot of us have very big slongs, and we still carry guns. So some of us don't have to worry about that, if you know what I mean. So I just thought that was kind of rude, you know. And most of us that, like I live in Arizona, we buy it because we want to protect our house.
Right.
You know,
but I think when he was talking about penis size, and this is Pit Doc was the gentleman who called, I think he was talking more about girth than length.
Oh. Well, like I've had people from California come up to me and ask me, well, why do you need to carry a gun? I don't usually argue. I just said, look, I said, read the Constitution. I don't make a statement or anything or try to prove my point, because the people that don't believe in guns, you know, they're going to try to, you know, get in an argument. And I don't argue. I've given up all of them, that kind of stuff. It just makes no sense. And like that one gentleman said, well, I know how to kill you with, you know, putting my finger or whatever on your body. But if a robber breaks into your home and you kind of go at him and he's already got a gun pointing at him, how is that going to help you? You're going to, by the time you try to lunging at him, you're already dead. So some of the comments that he made were kind of idiotic. I'm not saying he's a dumb gentleman, but, you know, most people, you know, most of us that do carry or whatever, nobody ever wants to pull a gun. I mean, it's more for just protection. I mean, that's how I look at it, you know, and I mean, nobody knows what tomorrow's going to bring, but, you know, you just have to use common sense. And unfortunately, this country has lost a lot of common sense, you know, where you just think about before what you say or what you do. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just you know, be smart. But, you know, like I said,
all right, I appreciate your call, and I'm glad your slung is up to a required point. Here is Aaron in California. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Ron. So you listen to NPR for an hour, and within that hour, you'll hear that nobody needs to own guns because we have the police to protect us. But in the same hour, you'll hear that all the police are corrupt, they're racist, they're killing people in the streets unnecessarily. And here's the deal. The private citizens should be allowed to be at least equally as well armed as police or the military force against the government. There's plenty of cases in which people need to protect themselves against their own government. So to laugh at that and to say it's crazy.
All right, well, let's just stop for a second if we can, Aaron. First of all, I agree with you. There is an arms race going on between our government and private citizens. There's no doubt about that. But number two, we've been sitting around talking about putting people on a watch list because they may be dangerous, correct?
Yeah.
Do you think that you belong on a watch list by saying that you own your military style weapons in case you have to fight against the government?
Here's the thing. I personally I'm not into shooting in person.
Oh, man, your phone's fucking up. I really want to talk to you, too.
One second.
Yeah.
Personally don't own a weapon.
I'm sorry, Aaron. It's just not working. I would love to have you on and have this conversation. But it's very interesting for the amount of people that want to put a Muslim on the watch list because he said something anti-government. Most people I hear talking anti-government are not Muslim, you know? There's a giant amount of people in this country closing in. If it's not a majority, it's got to be right there. And some on the left and some on the right who say, I do not trust my government. I think my government is going to come for me with weapons. I need to have some guns.
And I would agree also that, you know, people on both sides make contradicting statements. They want this, but then they're afraid of this. I mean, I know for a fact that people who would say that everybody should have guns to protect themselves against police would not have been comfortable with the idea of Eric Garner turning around and shooting the cop who put him in a chokehold. You know what I mean? I don't think that would have been well received.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Here's Mark in Maine. Mark.
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, that's my job.
I want to give you an example of why there's nothing you can do about this as long as the Second Amendment is in play. Just like the First Amendment and the Westboro Church in North Florida goes out and says horrible things, calls soldiers gay at their funerals and whatnot, and says the most horrible things in the world. because of the First Amendment, there's nothing we can do about it.
Right.
And the reason being with the Second Amendment, there's nothing we can do about guns. But even Anthony Scalia said there is things, it's not an absolute right. And there is some things that can't be done.
Well, the thing about guns is every gun owner believes in some amount of gun control. They don't think that you should have nukes. They don't think, there's a certain point where you're like, well, you don't need that gun. That gun's a little too big. So we're not as far away as these screaming matches come to be, but there is no solution. And yes, I agree with you 100%. Legally, the Second Amendment will always be protected. And let's face it, this shooter was protected by the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment has to be at least partially responsible for that shooting in Orlando, because it worked down to the fact that it helped this guy get supplied with guns, even though anyone I've ever heard talk about this guy said he was batshit crazy. This was not a guy who was a good dude and something snapped in him, what I would call the Chris Stanley way of being, where it seems like there's plenty to like about Chris.
Thank you.
But I personally heard you say that you were going to kill someone, and I heard that within the last few days.
Let's not report that to anyone. Keep that between you and I.
Ted, Providence, what's up, buddy?
Hey guys, love you. Number one, I really appreciate you guys hosting this conversation, because I don't know, maybe this is my own hubris, but I feel like your listeners are a little bit smarter than the average people. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but everybody is making semi-valid points.
There are valid points on both sides of this issue, and we don't normally hear that. And I think both sides, whether you're pro-gun or anti-gun, would like to see a solution to this. And quite frankly, we're not going to get there by yelling shit at each other. We're just not.
Yeah, it's a scary situation. And the thing, I was thinking about what you guys were talking about yesterday, where you talked about after September 11th, it was like parades and everybody was together waving the flag, and we were united.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like this type of thing, if this is actually a terrorist thing and it's looking less and less like it is, it looks more like just a fucking nut job. But if this is actual terrorism, this is more effective than flying a plane into the World Trade Center, because now immediately we're fighting with each other. There is no one wants to get together and be on the same side. Everybody is immediately at each other's throats.
This is where we are in this country. Yesterday, Trump actually let on that maybe Obama wants to protect the Muslims when they attack people. You know what I mean? We're at the point where we're saying, not only do we not trust each other, but we think that maybe the President of the United States wants to bring down the United States. I haven't heard much of what Hillary said, if anything, but Trump stuff made a lot of news sites yesterday with the banning all Muslims. Maybe, I don't know, he had two more things. He was kind of, in his own Trump zone. Maybe this will work for him, though. I never know with what he says, whether it'll work in a couple days in the polls or not.
I always get shocked, the stuff that works for him, and then the stuff that people focus this is too far, this one thing.
Yeah. Well, I heard why they were mad at him with the judge is because that was just for him and no one else. They don't mind when they're saying shit for them, but hey, let's not make this about you. And I thought that was interesting.
The guys who, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the guys who are afraid of the government coming to take their guns, I have buddies and relatives that are cops, military, federal agents, and they say to me, I'm afraid the government is going to come take my guns. And I have to say to them, you are the government, dude.
Right.
Who's going to do it? You? It's a little nutty. It's a scary situation.
It would require citizens to turn on their own. I mean, that would be the idea behind that.
All right. Thank you so much, Ted. Peace.
Thanks, Ted.
Yeah, I'm not sure where this whole thing plays out. I know it just doesn't feel like it's heading anywhere good. Howard in Mississippi.
Yeah, ain't nothing going to change because the politicians up there, every damn one of them, Republican, Democrat, they're all corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
They all spoil the money. NRA's got money. So they're all corrupt. Anybody that's listening to this radio station, which is one of the best may I add, is stupid to think that a politician lives in a regular world because they don't. And they don't give a shit. You got the politicians say, no, we don't want this. I guarantee you, every damn one of them that goes out somewhere has a damn security guard that's got guns.
That is true. That is true as well. And, both sides immediately use this to reaffirm their side in the both sides did politicize this. So what Howard's saying, it's the fat cats in Washington,
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right.
All right, thank you very much, Howard.
I like Howard.
Yeah, I like Howard a lot. He made a lot of sense there. At some point, it's something for us to agree on. I keep going back to the guy in Oregon, and of course he needs a gun for protection. If you're out in the sticks by yourself, surrounded by weed farmers, fucking dropouts, whatever happens up there in those. I mean, when you get out there in that green part of Oregon, you don't even. You're like, I don't even know what planet I'm on right now. That shit gets really Bigfooty fast.
It does make sense in those scenarios because it feels not dissimilar to when the Second Amendment was made and decided.
Yeah.
It was, based on the fact that a lot of these people were kind of living out on their own and didn't have any other way to protect themselves.
And I'll tell you another thing. People don't ever want to bring this up, but when you're making a major drug deal, you're better off being strapped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you can't fucking trust those other people. A lot of times I can't even understand them.
It's just smart.
We're just pointing at things. All right, I think we've got to take a break here, but we do have a spy report. What we have is a return of a TV show that hasn't been on in 5 years. Curb Your Enthusiasm is coming back on the air.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
5-year break.
It's been 5 years since the Seinfeld season? Was that the last season?
Yeah, the Seinfeld season was the last season. Which
finally some good news.
It was the season before, which I thought was the funniest season when he married the black family and moved in together. That was my favorite season. The Seinfeld season was, I don't know, it was a little too Seinfeld-y for my taste. So I really wanted them to do another season then, but glad that they're bringing it back.
I can't believe it's been 5 years.
Well, it has been, Chris. I'm not going to lie about this.
Fucking kind of weirded out.
Why don't you just focus on the good stuff?
Okay.
Curb is back. Now, there's an article up on the iBang about it. Also an article with Louis C.K. saying Louis is done. And he's, he's going to be doing other stuff. That he also said doing so much other stuff has kind of hurt his stand-up. It is true that if you're, as you're doing more stuff, something always suffers for it.
Yeah, and also being a full-time stand-up, it's such a specific, you keep very specific hours.
It's annoying. It's antisocial.
So, yeah, if you also have to be running around in the day doing other creative things and pitching other ideas, it's very hard to live both lives.
The only people that live the same exact life as a stand-up comedian is a serial rapist. You know what I mean? That's the same hours that you keep, and really the same people that you're running around with. Chris, where are you on this gun thing? Did we fix it? Did we take care of it?
I feel like it's pretty tidied up. I mean, there's a bow on this thing.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Like it.
I feel positive after today about the future of gun control in the United States.
We chipped away at it.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any connection by the fact that yesterday Louis said no more Louis, and then today Larry said I'm bringing back Curb?
Calculated.
Because Louis became the new Curb in a way.
Yeah, it was the show everyone was talking about, but now Larry David says, "Oh, that's not around anymore. Let's go."
But do you think everybody will jump back into it the same way?
I'm already into it. I feel like I've already seen the first episode and I loved it.
Either that or it's a Batman Bruce Wayne thing and they're actually the same person.
Oh, shit.
And that's why both shows can't live at the same time.
It would almost be like Bruce Wayne becomes Bruce Wayne, though. Just like differently dressed Bruce Wayne. I got to check in with Hard Rock Johnny. Johnny.
I'm calling because I was excited about Curb Your Enthusiasm, all this other stuff. I just don't want to talk about it.
Johnny, can I ask you a little stuff about gun stuff, though? We'll get into that a little bit.
If you really want to, but I just don't like talking about it all.
I think about this. I suppose, like, for every gun that you had, there was also a smaller bullet that came out the back, right? That shot you. Now, not a big enough to fucking kill you, but it's going to sting and you're going to have to go get it pulled out. That way, you are sure anybody who was shooting was really committed.
Yeah.
Because they would be getting a small bullet into themselves.
What if it's just a shock handle? Like, so you pull the trigger and you get like a really big shock. Same kind of thing. Like, you know.
It's like turning on a fucking light switch at Chris's house. And I think a big part of that is Chris always has about a half inch of water on the floor at all times.
Not water.
That's how I like it.
Oh, it says not water. It's piss.
It's water, Johnny.
It's yellow. It's piss water.
You're nasty.
And it was all yellow. So, Johnny, so that's your thing on guns? You want to take... Here's what Johnny said to me. Let's take away guns from the responsible gun owner and give them to outlaws.
Oh, God, Johnny.
Yeehaw! People on horseback.
Now, Johnny,
posses.
When you hear Trump basically pulling all Muslims into this, do you agree or disagree with that?
I don't want to even talk about it. I think it's all just, no matter what you say.
Is it because you grew up Italian and there was the mafia? And the one thing, let's say, that Anthony, Veto, Hard Rock Johnny, they all had in common is that their uncle owned a car that had a sticker on it that said mafia staff car, keep you hands off. That was the biggest fucking thing with Italians when I was younger. So, the Italians would say, no, I never knew anyone who was in the mafia, but every Italian kind of liked the mafia. They were kind of proud of it.
They romanticize it.
Yeah.
It did get a little romanticized, and I may or may not have known a few people who were or are, but
I don't know what you're saying. Oh, you got the bumper sticker,
Yeah.
Chris? Did I quote it correctly?
100% correct.
Keeping your hands off. God, I wish I had a car.
Veto, did you get a picture of the Big J poster?
Yes, I did.
Let's put that out on Twitter now so we can all take a look at it.
Cool.
Johnny, I got to take a break, but I want to get together with you, and we'll all watch the first episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm together.
The best day ever.
All right. Peace.
Later.
Let's break. Right back. Bennington Show. It's the Bennington Show. Rocking it, rolling it, whatnot. Ron Bennington, Gail Bennington, Coach Bennington, Spencer Berger Bennington. Those are our interns. They seem to be kicking ass. Vito, you're in charge of the interns, correct?
Yes.
Would you call yourself intern captain?
I would call myself intern captain.
Okay, good. Which intern do you think is showing the most progress in which area?
Well, Spencer has been coming with me to handle the guests.
Sweet.
Killing it on that.
Okay.
And Camilla is becoming a phone mastermind.
By Camilla, do you mean coach?
And then intern coach
Yes.
is becoming a phone mastermind.
Spencer's still not ready for the air. Coach likes the air, correct?
Coach loves it.
This has been it's already a good team, I feel.
Well, it's an excellent team. I also always like it when people excel in different ways, not when they both excel in the same thing. That knocks over the apple cart for me. Chris, if you had to pick intern of the summer so far, who would you pick?
Spencer Berger.
That quickly.
I love Coach. Like I always say, put me in Coach. But Spencer Berger is in the lead right now intern of the summer.
Wait a minute. Put you in where? I'm going to just pull this for HR.
Yeah, that sounds pretty gross.
You don't say put it in Coach and then not have it taken the wrong way.
That's wrong.
Put me in Coach. Like an athlete would say.
Yeah, but it sounded more like a request.
No, coach.
You know what? Talk to the hand. That's what I'm saying to you.
Is the hand HR?
I don't know. It's my new thing. I just say talk to the hand.
That's good. I like that. And then you put your hand up when you say it.
Sometimes, if I'm driving, nope. Both hands stay on the wheel at all times. Oh, by the way, I do it differently. I keep my hands on the wheel at 4 and 5. And it helps me.
That seems like it would be difficult.
It's fun. Yeah, but it's fun. It's closer to the radio. And it's really, 4 and 5, kids. There's probably fucking cars spinning all over the country. Because you know how children listen. Veto sent in what I consider the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. The German coach, he scratched his nuts in front of an entire stadium and then sniffed his fingers. Or as we called it in my neighborhood, pulling a Stanley.
Oh, really?
Oh, come on. That's disgusting.
He worried he was a little rank down there, and he wanted to know whether he should shower after the show.
You know cameras are pointed at you.
He's German. He doesn't care.
You know what? What's the name of this coach? Is it up there? Because I recognize this guy. I feel like he's had a scandal. Or two with nose
Joachim
picking.
Lowe?
Yeah, he's done stuff like that before, and he's like a good-looking guy, but he's just a fucking gross fucking maniac. It's up on the iBank today. If you want to see a guy in front of 70,000 people scratch his nuts and then immediately take it to the nose to see what kind of shape he's in.
He doesn't even really subtly hide it.
No.
Like, it's very clear what he's doing.
What's weird is I can't tell if he likes the smell or he doesn't like the smell, because his face just has a 1,000-yard stare as he's smelling his own ball stink.
Well, he probably is repelled by it, but at the same time, he just has to.
But what information is he looking for here? Like, it seems like there's a purpose. What is it, boy? What do you smell?
That's disgusting. The fact that you would then be curious to wonder what's going on down under his sack.
I bet he caught a whiff of something on that field and was like, wait a minute, are these my dirty old balls? I mean, that's his inner thought, is what I'm saying.
Big J. Okerson this Friday. And did we put up the picture of the signed poster? That's for everybody that would like to win it. We'll be giving it out during the Unmasked on Friday, as it's a salute to Big J. Okerson and his time here with us.
We respect him. We love him. There it is, the signed poster.
Where's the signature?
Right there.
Right next to the series.
Why is it so small? Give yourself a nice big signage, dude. He signs it like he doesn't want anybody to catch him.
John Hancock, that shit.
No. John Hancock made it big and large. He said, I hope the fucking English come looking for me. I don't want to live anymore. I'm fucking tired of living underneath the old shitty wig. I wonder if that's where the wig party came from. Hey, we wear wigs.
It makes sense.
Yeah, let's have a party for it. So that's happening on Friday. I'm looking forward to that. And tomorrow night, of course, is Comedy 101. We still haven't had a meeting on it yet, so I hope we are prepared to go. One of my stories today is the Japanese bear that has developed a taste for human flesh.
How did this happen?
Right, so this bear, they believe it's the same bear in this Japanese mountain town. They say it's killed 4 people since May. And their reasoning behind it is it now just wants, it craves human blood.
Well, it no longer fears the human.
Right.
Like a bear has a natural fear of a human, just like a shark does. But once they start biting, they're like,
That was easier than I thought.
Yeah, this is great.
This dude did not put up as much a fight as I would have expected.
So you're saying that they don't develop a...
No, this is just a regular bear, and people are running into its habitat.
Can I tell you something, though?
Yeah.
If you would have told me years ago, I will develop a taste for raw fish, I'd like, you're insane. And yet, I get a hankering now. Why? Because I had it and enjoyed it. Your Honor, members of the jury, do you see how insane this man is? If I could fall in love with sushi, can that bear Fall in love with man.
He has a great point.
He makes great points.
He makes great points. He makes great points.
Chuck in North Carolina has a point about our own Chris Stanley.
Oh.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Hey, Ronnie, didn't a long time ago when old Black Earl was on there, didn't Piff Stanley scratch his nuts and smell them one time?
Yeah, you
Earl's
did.
nuts?
Never.
You used to scratch Earl's nuts. That
You
was the thing.
scratched Earl's nuts and smelled them?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. And damn, the big cat used to laugh like hell every time Stanley smelled Earl's nuts.
Yeah, he would. You used to go, I got to sniff those nuts. You know why? You developed the taste for it. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury,
I'm no bear.
the defense or prosecution, whatever I turn out to be, is resting.
I remember Stanley used to say, there ain't nothing smells like a black man's nut.
I know, that is true.
He said that?
Is that my catchphrase?
Do you miss Earl every day? Thank you, Chuck.
No, I used to
All right,
fight
man,
with him.
y'all have a good day.
Thanks for that stroll down memory lane.
None smells worse than a black man's nuts.
That's disgusting and it's fucking racial.
I can't believe you would say
You
that.
literally just said a fireable thing. Anthony himself said less than that.
Why would you say it?
Why do you want out? Is that it? Is this your way?
No.
Then why say such things? Why can't you be like Veto? Good boy.
He is a good boy, isn't he?
I've got a bad boy in Chris and then a good boy in Veto.
But I have that good boy magic.
No.
I hate when he says that.
You
so
got
much
that old
and I
black
don't-
magic. And by black magic, I'm talking about Earl's nuts.
I don't know how this rumor got started.
There wasn't a rumor. It actually happened on the air. Chuck remembered it. So what? It went down. Look at this. This is a nice, taking a bunch of kids around, showing them what radio looks like.
Man, they
I've
look
never led a
riveted.
tour. I've never led a tour yet.
Oh, man. I think that you would be really great at giving the Sirius XM tour.
I don't know. I've never been to the 37th floor, so there's not a lot I can show them.
I don't think there's anything to see up there.
Yeah, there's nothing worth looking up there.
I know I hate all the people up there. And I don't think that, I think they should be able to be sued if they say that they work in radio. Because you don't.
There's a lot of accountants up there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I'm counting on them getting the fuck out of here. What are you doing? Texting during the show, Gail?
No, it's just the sound when I go to charge my phone. It lets you know
Sounds like a text
everything's
message, Gail.
going all right.
This is Gail texting. Yeah, he's still talking, this time about a black man's nuts.
Oh, God.
It's Janet from HR
Why would you
texting.
text with the HR lady?
We just do.
Damn it, Janet. There's a thing on that I want either Vito or Chris to do, and that's eat a 2,000-year-old, still edible, 22-pound slab of bog butter.
What the hell is bog butter?
It's that big slab right there.
Oh.
I don't know why it's called bog butter. I'm going to be totally honest.
Well, it's been cooking in a bog for 2,000 years.
Set that in a bog for 2,000 years. Take it out and let it cool.
So it was a hunk of butter, I believe, that either fell in the bog or was placed in the bog. But it's still down there, and they realize it's still good. You can totally still eat it.
Why? Why would butter stay good?
Well, I don't know. There's something that goes on in bogs. It's like a weird bog thing. I don't know if it's the sulfur, but have you ever seen these bog mummies? So these are people who either fell in or they were hi tour.
Hi, tour guides.
Hi tour. Either fell in bogs and then their bodies are preserved by the bog. So there's all these bog bodies, bog mummies.
I have a dream that we will find an old fossil alien.
Really?
Yeah. I would either like to find out that there was an alien or once there was a human life before us, built all up, destroyed itself, and then it went back around 1 million years so humans could pop up again. That would really be fucking great.
Maybe some of these bog mummies are aliens.
I don't think Bogs is the answer that you believe that they are. There's
I'm
only
telling
one
you,
Bogs
you
I
didn't
believe
find
in.
any?
Wade Bogs.
Look at how it perfectly preserves the body.
That's an alien.
Yeah, that could be a bogged alien.
Well, first of all, I might be confused about what a bog is like a swamp, right?
Yeah, it's a swamp.
When does a swamp become a bog?
I'm not.
Get to the fucking bottom of that shit before I figure out whether there's aliens in there.
Bog seems like a smaller swamp.
No, I don't think it's size. I definitely don't think it's a size issue. I find this to be more of a bog than a swamp.
This bog, once it rains, it becomes a swamp.
It's a bog in the dry months.
I wear London bog. So bog has something to do with the mud, you think?
It has to do with the mud, and I believe there's
find
also
Wikipedia, not pictures that you can figure it out. We need a description, not more fucking pictures of swamps.
And what's a marsh, by the way?
All right, I want to get to the... I'm now annoyed with this. I want a marsh description. I want a bog description. I want a swamp description.
I got something for you.
All right.
Marshes are nutrient-rich wetlands that support grass, while swamps are defined by their ability to support woody plants and trees. Bogs are characterized by their poor soil and high peat content.
So it's peat.
It's the peat.
Didn't Shakespeare or the Scottish would have out amongst the... And it wouldn't even be a bog. It would be something else.
Fen?
A fen.
Yeah.
Maybe a fen?
A fen has less peat and more plant life than a bog.
All right.
Seems like they're splitting hairs here.
All this has... No, it isn't. They're giving you a recipe. You're right?
Yeah.
Each one of these has a recipe for what it becomes.
Now, I think that only the bog is the one that preserves so well.
Why?
Because I haven't heard of anything about swamp mummy or marsh mummy.
How about a fen mummy?
Too much plant life? Not enough peat?
Not enough peat.
All right, hold on. Here's Sean, and he's Bama bound.
Hey, Ron and B.
Yeah.
Hey, I believe a bog. I'm a scientist by trade, but I'm just guessing a bog has less water than a swamp. And also, it could be a Peter Bogdanovich.
First of all, thanks for that thing. But, and a swamp is what?
A swamp is known for, it's defined by they can support woody plants and trees. So a swamp has trees.
Oh, okay.
Whereas a bog is just bad soil and a lot of peat.
Which one do you like best, Chris?
I'm a swamp guy. I like a tree. Bog seems too preservy. And a fen, I don't even know what the hell that is. I feel like fen's mostly like a bog.
I feel most connected to swamp considering my upbringing. I'm most familiar.
Swamps? I think most of us know, like everybody who's been in a swamp, very few of us have been in a bog. I don't think I ever have.
No. Fens? I think that's just mostly the British.
Yeah, there's something about a bog that feels very European. I can't prove that, but it seems like it's a more common term over there.
Well, I know that Muscle Shoals has the Swampers, and they've been known to pick a tune or two. Chris? Lord, they get me off so much. Pick me up when I'm feeling blue. How about you? Well, I wonder if anybody in this team knows how to grab a song. Kent, Chicago.
Rodney, $1 million.
$1 million.
Hey, I've done a lot of research on this. I think a swamp becomes a bog as soon as you have a tractor pull or a mud bog raised in it.
That's interesting. Yeah, do you ever see these guys now that they do 5Ks through swamps and shit, and they pay money? They set up these mutter fucking things, literally calling them mutters, and they run through it, and it's hideous. Yes, Veto.
You got Spartan Race, Tough Mudder, and it's like they have different levels. There's even a 24-hour race, or it's like 48 hours. That's like the death race.
Oh, wait, a 24-hour race is 48 hours.
Oh, I said 24-hour or 48-hour. I can't remember.
Now,
look at this shit.
How deep is the swamp get? Are you like wading in this stuff?
Yeah, it's like 7-8 inches deep sometimes. And when they're out, they make these things. They make them ugly to run through, and then they use it for team building. Like we would take our team if we ever had a loyalty problem. We would take our team down there.
Okay.
I'll be like, Chris, you keep an eye on Veto while both of you run for the next 48 hours.
If you make it, you're a team.
Hey, Joe, Milwaukee.
Hey, Stanley.
Yeah.
What's the difference between swamp ass and bog ass?
It seems like they're both the same thing.
I know you get swamp ass.
Occasionally.
Like a fucking German soccer coach.
But there's so much pee in your ass.
That is true.
Well, it's only saying pee in my butt.
There's a guy named Pete that's in his ass. Is it hot in here, Chris?
I'm always warm in here.
What happens to this place?
I'm not freezing, so you guys are probably, it probably is warmer than usual.
There's a fire inside of me.
Frank in New York, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, Ron, I'm all of a Bayou guy.
Oh, yeah, the bayou is only down in Louisiana. Nowhere else has a bayou. It's a fucking swamp.
I always thought that a bayou was the same thing as a swamp. They just call it a bayou.
Well, what do you could say that about a bog, too. They all seem to be the same to me.
My God, the peat, though.
A bayou is a marshy outlet of a lake or river.
So swamp.
Yes, it's a fucking swamp. So the way you're saying it, the Everglades are a bayou, but they're not, Chris. They're a fucking swamp. But they do let out directly even into the ocean.
That seems like a bayou.
But it isn't. You ever hear them go down to the bayou? Oh, where? In Florida? The Florida bayou? It's giant.
And I guess they're all wetlands.
Yeah.
That's the umbrella term.
Yet I never use it. The only place I call the wetlands is Jersey.
Yeah.
I don't call any other place the wetlands. Veto, you could make an entire fucking life just studying this. And I hope that you do. I hope you take something with the education you've been given.
I can get my own National Geographic show. I can be one of the new swamp people.
I don't know about this show.
The show called Swamp People?
People bring up Nat Geo all the time.
I cut the cord. I don't even know.
I was hanging out with the American Ninja yesterday, Matt.
Was he cool?
He runs the... I mean, was he cool? It's a fucking person like everyone else. He's an announcer for that. He's not fucking doing it.
Because there used to be a movie series called American Ninja in the 80s.
Yes, you've told me time and time again. That's got nothing to what I'm talking about.
Got it.
Every day, I got to fucking hear about that from you. And somebody else wrote this. Anytime that we pick someone on the show, for bad or good, Chris picks Veto. 100% of the time. And it is true. He's like, I'm afraid of Ron, and Gail's going to fucking get mad at me, so I better pick Veto. Stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm going to stop picking Veto for anything anymore.
Say I could be the cop.
Yes.
I could be a cop.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with Gail being a cop, you misogynistic prick?
Is he cool?
Is he cool? Tell me the truth. Is that guy so cool? Because there was a movie in the 80s.
Movie series.
Called Back to School. They're like little known facts about Back to School. It's up on the iBank. See if you can stump me and Gail with it, Chris.
Okay.
See if you can stump us with the back. Now, you know, whenever you look into Dangerfield, who seems like he was incredibly big star, and he was. There's probably only about 3 movies that were successes of his.
Yeah, but they were big successes.
Oh, yeah. I didn't say he had small successes. But the fact is, you would imagine that there would be more. You would think, 12 movies? No, 3.
Just 3.
3.
3 greats.
Back to School. I think it's called Golfing with Bill Murray, is the name of it. And what else did he have that was even big?
Ladybugs?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ladybugs was terrible.
It's first thinking of
the one that he did in Staten Island probably was pretty big. Where he was the gambling dad. He was like a bad dad.
I think I saw that one.
Nobody can even remember it. Yeah.
Natural Born Killers?
No, not Natural
Jesus, he
Born
was in for a
Killers.
scene.
He was in 1 fucking minute in that. Coach, slap Veto, please. Coach, come over and as hard as you possibly can, slap him in the ear hole. Everybody wants Coach.
He's screaming, just do it. Get it over with and do it.
She doesn't want to do it. Everybody wants Coach and Veto to be a couple, except for Coach. But do you like her that way, Veto?
HR would not allow me to say something.
But let's suppose we lived in an un-HR world.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to report that.
No.
Call Janet.
Janet.
Not about me.
She's like, you guys are calling constantly. I said I'd fire Chris Stanley the second I get a half hour free.
She's busy.
All right, go ahead. Ask the question.
All right. In what other film was the exam room where he took his 3-hour oral exam in?
What?
Okay,
Who's
so this
he?
is
Thornton Mellon. Rodney Dangerfield.
okay. So you're trying to say the schoolroom was used in another movie.
Yeah.
All right, I'm thinking of it. It was a big room. Was it brown? Was it a brown room? I think I have a guess.
Okay.
Did someone do a dance? He just moved the screen. You know how bad my eyes are as it is? I would love if I could read that.
I was going to guess that summer school movie because that's the only classroom that I can think of.
I'm going to go in a different direction. I think it was a dance recital or something that took there, and I'm going to say flash dance.
Correct.
All right.
Holy shit.
It was only after I started thinking about it.
This is crazy.
Well, I never forget flash dance because the girl, when she started to dance, gained 15 pounds and had a terrible wig on, and no one was supposed to notice. All right.
Who else was up for Sam Kinnison's character in Back to School?
First of all,
Another
it isn't
comedian.
Sam Kinnison's character. It would be the character that Sam Kinison played.
That's it.
Not the character of Sam Kinison.
I know this one from an Unmasked. That was Mr. Bob Saget.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 2-0.
God.
Terry Farrell.
I'll let you answer the next one.
Who played Valerie Desmond in the film, went on to what Star Trek show?
Star Trek: A New Hope.
Incorrect.
Star Trek, Meet the Fockers. Eric, in New York.
The movie you're thinking of was Easy Money.
Easy Money is correct. You're going into the pretty good prize closet.
It's a pretty good prize. It's a pretty good prize. Prize closet. We have good prizes. It's a pretty good prize. It's a pretty good prize. Prize closet. We're pretty good prizes.
You won American Pie, signed by Natasha Lyonne.
Ooh, that's a good prize.
Yeah. By the way, Eric, I've always found her to be sassy. Very, very sassy.
She
young
is
lady.
very sassy.
Was that all of them, Chris?
That was all of them.
So that was 3 instead of 5.
I think there's 5.
Oh, there's one more. There's 4. Okay.
Just forget it. Because you've got this that's so important. Everything stops.
Comedian Tim Dillon is stopping in. He's headlining The Brokerage in Belmore, New York on Sunday, June 26th at 7:30 p.m. Go to brokerage.govs.com for tickets.
Right back, Bennington.
Let Bennington know how you feel. Call 844-ROCK-GOD on Raw Dog 99, Sirius XM's Comedy Club.
Hey, it's the Bennington Show. Tomorrow night is Comedy 101. Then we're going to be down in D.C. and Unmasked with somebody I think that did one of the best comedy specials this year, Ali Wong. This thing is just unbelievable. And then this weekend, I've got the Skank Fest. And I'm going to tell you right now, there is a name coming up constantly. Mr. Tim Dillon. Everywhere I turn around, somebody's name checking you.
I think you're going to say Donald Trump.
No, I don't hear
it's
shit
a name
about
coming up constantly.
I don't hear
Omar
shit about him.
Mateen.
But everybody's talking about you. You wear this? You're getting some real heat
there's some
in your career.
Well, I don't know about that, but it's nice to hear if it's good things. Yeah,
It is good stuff.
I get in Facebook fights all day with people about politics. It could be that people are talking about me because they think I'm a lunatic.
No, I'm hearing about the stand-up.
Oh, good.
Where are you working out of mainly? What's your home?
I love the stand. I'm there a lot. That's like the food's amazing. I'm a huge food dude.
I'm going to be there tomorrow night for Comedy 101, which is going to be a blast.
It's great. I mean, I love it there, and that's on 3rd Avenue 19. It's a cool area. And I'm there. I'm wherever I can be. Caroline's got wherever.
Do you have management now? Do you have a manager?
I do. I got a manager now. So he represents a lot of successful people, and then me.
Who are the big successes he has?
He has like Samantha Bee.
Okay,
like Colin Quinn. He's got like
big.
He's got legit people.
That's big.
And then he signed me to be like, well, this guy is.
You know what? Your next wave, dude. Your next wave.
We'll see.
Now, do you go to him or did he?
I opened for a dude that who's really funny named Chris Gethard. And
sure,
Gethard does a lot of like UCB stuff, and me and Gethard couldn't be more different,
right?
Because Gethard's a really brilliant improviser and a great stand-up, but he's like a very sensitive, nice, caring dude, and I'm like this weird like gay Republican guy who hates everybody and doesn't care about anyone and thinks Donald Trump's going to be maybe the best president we've ever had.
Based on what, though? What do you base the Trump on?
Because everyone hates him, number one.
Yeah.
Everybody hates him. And generally, if Republicans and Democrats both hate somebody, I'm very curious to see what they're going to do. You know, but so that me and Gethard are so different. But when I open for Chris, I find a way to get to his crowds, and these are like young kids, they're college kids, nerdy kids.
Yeah, he is the king of the nerds right now. That TV show that he does is amazing,
right?
But you know, Gethard is also campaigning to be Kelly's replacement.
Yes, right.
In the morning, and I'm on. If that happened, I'm up every morning to watch that show.
I would love to see that.
I'm on board big time. So it was great. So Chris actually told his guy, his manager, he was like, "This guy's really interesting because he can make my audiences laugh, even though he's this crazy dude. Like he could come out here and say these really offensive things, but they are laughing."
Yeah.
So I think that impressed Chris. So I think, and that's how we hooked up with the guy.
Well, when you're a Republican comedian in New York, you're pretty much the minority.
You're a big minority.
Yeah, which is a good thing because there's something you can excel at.
Yeah.
You know?
And also not only in New York, I mean, you kind of have said just in general, it seems like comedy, there are not a ton
famous. I mean, there's a lot of non-famous Republican, you know.
Well, I think there's in the comedy community, you've got a lot of groupthink. You got a lot of people that think the same way about everything. So it's like I read statuses yesterday, and they were like, you know, a lot of them were like, you know, the real culprit here is for this shooting in Orlando is the patriarchy. It's like, wait a minute, you know, and it's like Florida was blamed, dudes were blamed. You know, nobody talked about, you know, that there could be an issue with the religion. You know what I mean? Nobody said that there might be a poisonous, you know, interpretation of Islam that might play into this. And if you suggest that, people act like you're insane.
Well, Islam is a beautiful religion.
Sure.
I'm told that because I hear it all the time.
Right.
So I know nothing about.
Yeah,
and people go, "Have you read the Quran?" And I go, "No, of course not."
No. It sounds good. There's a lot of sitting. There are things in it that that I can, you know, but it's like you have 99 people in comedy that are like, no, this is the way it is. This is the way it is. So it's like, for me, I'm like, I'm not even that much of a Republican, but these people can kind of push you into like.
So you think you feel like we're at war with the
I think we're at war.
Radical Islam?
Absolutely. I mean, I think radical Islam's at war with us. I don't think there's an argument there. I think the people that don't believe that are crazy. And I think that there's just the evidence has been mounting that there's a substantial problem. And listen, we don't even have to say the majority of Muslims are peaceful, great people. We don't have to say that because we know it's true. But a very small minority of people can make it a huge issue. And so that's something that I think there needs, especially with gay people, with women, with all these values that liberals seem to care about. If you look at Muslim countries, these people have far fewer rights than they do in
But
the
I like
West.
that you said that only liberals care about women and gays.
Well, they purport to.
But the Republicans don't?
No, they do.
Oh, yeah. In their own
do.
way.
I care. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they do it in their own way.
It's tough love.
Yeah, it's tough love, you know? But, you know, it's a weird, I think it's a weird thing. So I often get in fights with people like these, you know, 80 comment Facebook, which I got to stop doing that, but I can't not do it.
But does it ever make you feel bad when people say stuff to you when you're in a Facebook fight, or it's all made up? It doesn't mean anything.
My favorite is the dudes who come in with because the Facebook fight it's about facts for like maybe 10 comments, then it goes off the rails.
Right.
Then it's just a personal attacks. People like, listen, you fat fuck.
Yeah.
And it just comes into that I'm fat like immediately, you know? But what's funny is, and then some people start like insulting Like, literally, this was somebody's like, listen, you basic white bitch. And I'm like, but in the middle, I called a basic white bitch, and I'm reading at like 2:30 in the morning. I'm eating like a Dunkin' Donuts sandwich I just got, and I'm like, oh, this might be true. And then there's the guy that comes in to I love this guy who comes into the Facebook fight and thinks that there's still time for him to make a good point.
Right.
Like he'll like cite statistics, like in the middle of somebody being like, listen, you fat fuck, I hope Muslims kill you. And then the guy right after him's like, listen, if we review this chart, we can see that there is some real, and I'm like, buddy, that's over. Like, the time for that is now done.
I think it's funny that you bring up that the Facebook fight is kind of, because I think it's a different animal than the Twitter fight. It's a different animal.
Okay.
Like, if you had to say, what do you think is this website that has the worst comment section, the worst comment section than any other?
I mean, YouTube can be brutal, but to me, there's nothing more brutal than Facebook, because Facebook, they can go and insult your family.
Because you're already connected.
I can go say your kids suck.
Right.
Fuck you and your kids. You should be provide. And I've done this. I've been in fights with people where I'm like, why don't you go provide for those kids? I've said that. I felt horrible about it, but I'm like, good, get him. You know, like, I've been like, hey, you got a bunch of kids on that page. Why don't you go put food in their mouth and get off fucking my page?
Facebook also,
I fight dirty.
A lot of times it's your own distant family members who you're having the political argument.
Well, that's just like in real life. The only time that I'll ever get mad is with my family. You know what I mean? The only time I can't understand why they're so stupid. But you know, with Trump, I have had a great time. My parents are big Trump people, and then when I talked to them, I was like, just like letting the Trump stuff out and then bringing up other stuff, like, oh, now they're saying, oh, geez, Dad, I don't know. Now they're saying, and he's like, just letting it drop out from underneath.
I have a hard time not liking Hillary because I kind of like her because she's like an old crook. And I like that. She's like in the mob movie, the person that's constantly passed up, and who's doing everything to get it, killing people, shooting people in the face, lying, killing her own kid. It's like, what do you, I mean, I get her. As a comedian, I'm like, this is like somebody who just keeps getting passed over. I'm like, oh, I get it. Like, she's her whole life has been about this one fucking thing, just being the president.
Yeah.
And, you know, so if she wins, it's like, all right, well.
Well, but you know, the people that are hurting Donald Trump right now, not the Democrats. They cannot hurt him. It's the Republicans, and they are fucking with him hard.
Yeah, they don't like him. They don't, because you know that party's owned. The Democratic Party's owned. I mean, you see the primary thing where Hillary essentially, you know, you have all these super delegates. The whole thing is rigged. Sanders, who I don't agree with, is clearly a better candidate. The whole thing is rigged, and these people have owned these parties for so long. There are so many interests. And listen, Trump has said some things that are disgusting. He said some racist. We get it, fine. But at the end of the day, it makes me very interested that all of these people of all this money invested are freaked out that he could win. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, it is incredibly fascinating, but the closer we get to the election, it becomes less fascinating.
Right.
And how much we got to keep this fragile fucking egg together.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I do not mind this turning into revolution.
Right.
I'm very fucking happy. You know, I mean, I'm not going to join the revolution. Get a couple people on the side myself. But, you know,
I'm going to be in a diner.
Yeah, I'm not going to take to the streets.
Yeah.
But I'll be like, like in one of those movies where you see the fucking writer and he's just at a cafe and the fucking thing's going on around him.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. I mean, if he wins, I do think, I don't see Trump winning and then a bunch of people on election day going, well,
let's try him.
We lost this.
Yeah.
You know,
let's give it a try.
Well, the best man won.
It is interesting that he seems to appeal to a group of people that the Republicans were not aware that they didn't have control of, or that they could lose control of.
Right.
Because there's always been this thing that it feels like that party does a pretty good job puppeting those who don't have money.
I think there's also absolutely 100%. I mean, there's this people that are just sick of like politically correct culture kind of strangling what you can and can't talk about.
What is it you want to say, Tim? Who do you want to talk about? Blacks? Who?
The transgenders.
The transgenders. You have a big problem with these people are getting away with too much?
No, but I think
bothering you.
I think there are people that one tweet now their life is ruined. They lose their job, everything like that. There's something for Donald Trump to just never apologize for anything, even the things he should apologize for.
But if Donald Trump is still president, if somebody does a Chinese joke during a thing, they're not going to be the Affleck duck anymore. Nothing is going to change in that political correct thing.
You're probably right about that.
And the political correct thing that hurts you is never the fucking government.
Right.
It is the corporations.
Yeah, it's the money. It's true.
And that's the Republican Party. They say we have to be politically correct. You're the ones doing it.
Well, it's the letter writing campaigns. It's these highly organized people that write letters to these corporations and threaten them.
Right, but it's the corporation's decision to kowtow to that stuff.
Yeah.
And by the way,
I just think these people have less time to write letters after Trump's elected because they'll be in camps. So when you're in a camp, you have your day is planned for you. So you don't have a huge opportunity.
Now, there's a very good point. You talk about political correctness. He is saying, I will not let any Muslim in the country.
Well, that's not right.
But that is extreme political correctness.
That's a little extreme. I just had halal for lunch.
Yeah.
I do support halal food. It is extreme. But again, I don't know. I think what he's saying is that, listen, there's a huge issue. And I don't think he knows. I think he has said we got to figure out what's going on. And I think he's throwing out these plans. Because on the one side you have that, which seems ridiculous. But on the other side you have Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama that won't say the words radical, like, they won't say Muslim fundamentalists. They won't say Islamic terrorists.
But why do you think they won't?
Because I think that there's a refusal in the worldview of both of those people. There's a refusal. They think that by saying that, they're going to inflame.
But who do you think has given them that advice? Because I believe it comes from the military, Homeland Security, and the FBI.
I doubt it.
I don't doubt it at all.
Right. You could be right.
This war is being fought by those people, not by general people in the street.
Right.
You don't need to rally anyone.
Right.
We have Homeland Security, FBI, CIA.
Sure.
These jobs aren't going to change if Trump or Hillary get elected.
100% right.
So we're going to have the same fucking people.
Right.
But for some reason, there are people that would like to just hear their president say, oh, by the way, fuck Muslims.
No, nobody wants
help.
that. Nobody wants that. There are people that want that. And they're crazy people. But I think there are people that say, for example, when somebody rapes somebody at Stanford University and gets away with it and it's a rich white kid, I think it's completely fair to say, oh, there's a system in this country that allows wealthy white men to do things that are reprehensible and get away with 6 months of jail time instead of the years that a black or Hispanic person would have. It's completely fair to discuss that. And it's completely fair to identify what that is. I think it's also fair if you have somebody that's motivated to kill by an ideology that is incredibly powerful. It's very well financed. It's backed by states like Saudi Arabia that have a tremendous amount of oil wealth. It's very fair to identify what that is and say this is what it is. And it doesn't represent everybody. But I think pretending it's not there or somehow that it's this crazy. I mean,
who came out and said it's not Saudi Arabia immediately after?
I know, George W. Bush, bad, no good.
Okay, but at the time, the Republicans
Trump has called out Bush on that, and he's called out. If Trump was a neocon, I wouldn't find him interesting at all. I think what's interesting about Trump is he said, listen, I want to declassify those 28 pages. I want to find out who really attacked us. I want to be an isolationist. I kind of want to stay away from what's going on in other countries. You have Hillary Clinton, who's an interventionist. She was, pro the Iraq war, Libya, Syria. She can't get enough. And she thinks that the United States' job is to go in and change these regimes. And
I would agree with this 100%. Yeah. This is something that the country never talks about because when, Paris got bombed, we're blaming Barack Obama.
Right.
When Brussels gets bombed. But I thought we didn't want anything to do with that. I mean, it's not like both parties haven't said, let's go in and reframe the way the fucking world looks. Do you honestly think Trump is going to pull us out of those places?
I don't know that he can. Obviously we know that there's lots of interest and lots of people that are involved behind the scenes, and there's lots of things that when you're president, you're privy to that we don't know. But I do think Trump will do what he can to minimize our role in some of those areas, more so than Hillary Clinton would.
I think that's an interesting thing, and I'd like to see him talk about it more because I don't think he has talked about it yet.
Because those are the things that are kind of exciting about him. Is I think he's saying anything he can to win. So I think he's saying some disgusting things. But I mean, if you look at what Hillary Clinton has done, some disgusting things. You have a guy, Sidney Blumenthal, who was her aide, who was not allowed to be employed officially at the State Department, sending her emails saying, "Yeah, listen, topple Gaddafi. Let's go in there and do business." I mean, this is disgusting. This is insane, and this is the type of stuff, the behavior that she's displayed. And listen, that's why she is where she is. She's played the game for a very long time. And I'm not even hating on her for doing it. This is the way it is. But I think it'd be very interesting to have somebody in there who's not playing the game. And listen, it would be interesting to see them force Trump to play the game.
I would love to hear Trump talk about some of these things.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he has yet. I mean, I think a lot of you saying he's not going to do that is just a certain faith base
Well,
that he's not
he sends me the info. and he
Okay, I would love to hear it.
Get it out at the stand.
Yeah.
Get it out at the Creek and the Cave in Long Island City.
Yeah.
Get it out for the improvisers and the stand-ups first, and then let it trickle into because I have 2,400 Twitter followers, so he knows that when I say something, literally tens of people are listening.
But those 2,400 only are on there to fight with you.
They're only on there to fight,
Yeah.
and many of them radical Muslims who love me.
Yeah.
Because people love a dictator. So when I say this is the way it is,
Yeah.
I have a lot of radical Muslims. I would do great in that culture.
Vito, you're a Trump guy, right?
Yeah, I love him.
No, he's got your vote?
Me and Vito look like Trump guys. Like every Trump guy is like 300 pounds.
I've had a Donald Trump doll since I was 8 years old.
Oh my
So
God!
I want a president.
Where do you even buy that?
When The Apprentice first hit,
That's amazing.
Trump
What
Mania
kind of
hit.
kid were you?
I just wanted a Donald Trump doll, so I got one.
He was an entrepreneur, is what he was.
Yes.
It's a very
He was an
peculiar
entrepreneur.
kid.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you one thing though, this entrepreneur youngster that sleeps with Trump, not good with a nickel. Goes to his money pretty damn quick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love that me and Vito at a Trump rally would stand up for about 1 minute clapping and then go, let's take a seat. Let's just sit down and relax.
Yeah, it's Cleveland and Philadelphia should be a crazy summer. Here's my prediction. It really depends about where we are in the last 2 weeks. Everybody wants to look at numbers now.
Right.
Oh, Trump's numbers have dropped or that. None of that means shit.
Right.
It starts after the conventions. It's going to have just a lot to do with what's happening in the world at that moment.
I know a lot of people over the last 48 hours have been speculating that this Orlando was going to impact so greatly. It is this week, but
It'll
not
be forgotten about.
By the time people are actually considering their vote, anybody who hasn't already made up their mind, which is always a strange.
Yeah, it's sad because you forget about it so quickly, but it's almost like you have to because you can't live. Like I was watching the things with the victims and they're showing the faces of the victim. I'm like, this is fucking draining. And then it's like, and I feel horrible about it. But then like and then like a few inches down on the internet is like a thing like 5 new donuts you must have now.
Yeah, Thrillist.
You know what I mean? Thrillist, right? Exactly. It's like, it's like 5 new donuts you must have now. And I'm like, well, let me. Yeah. I can't look at dead people forever. Let me check out.
The Thrillist, for some reason, they'll send me stuff, and because I would never go there. But then I'll just get an email that'll say 12 Brooklyn brunches that you will change your life. I'm like, what are these brunches? I'm there in a heartbeat.
But even if you look at some of the sites that, normally that's the kind of stuff that they do.
Yeah.
Yesterday it was still like BuzzFeed was all like about the shooting. But today, they do their like trending stuff. And it was like the victims' photos was number 2 and number 1 is like, can you pick if this is an M&M or Skittle without like the M or the S?
I do want to play that because I feel like I could.
Yeah. The Thrillist doesn't care. Their pop-ups are on the most inappropriate.
Yeah.
It's like 911memorial.org and then Thrillist comes up with like 10 cheeses that melt in under a minute. And you're like, these people have no fucking, they don't care at all. Like they must be run by Satan who's just like, listen, just throw it on anything. We'll pay the advertising budget.
Tim Dillon is in here with us. He's headlining the Brokerage in Belmar, New York on Sunday, June 26, 7:30. Brokerage.govs.com for tickets and at Tim J. Dillon on Twitter. And like I'm telling you, your name is popping up all the time. Everybody's digging what you're doing. And how many times can we start to tell when people are going next level, Chris? Like, it just seems like we have got to figure out the algorithms where you're just like, oh, I see.
Yeah.
There's
Well, we'll see what next level. Next level might be a cult that I lead.
I really think. I mean, you're wearing the shirt. It's not too late for the fire department.
I have the fire department shirt because it's the less controversial of the 2 New York City agencies.
Yeah,
and I already look like a cop, and I sound like a racist. So I have to. It feels good. People look at me and they go, "He's saving kids."
What would you do about radical Islam though? How are we going to beat this? Because you seem like you give us some thought.
Well, number 1, you identify what it is. Number 2, I think that you have to look at the immigration policy that you have in the country right now. You have to see if you have a southern border that's incredibly porous. You have issues. You need an immigration policy that allows people to come here that want to come here. And again, you have to start, I think, really looking at what we do that causes and inflames hatred around the world. And I'm not a person I'm not like a dumb Yahoo that thinks we're totally blameless. I think there's a lot of countries we probably don't need to be involved in. There's a lot of things around the world that we don't need to do.
You know what it is, though?
I was a big, when they would, the torture in Guantanamo Bay, I'm like, this is horrific. This is horrible. This inflames people, rightly so, and many get all over the world. So we got to look at a lot of what we do and our activities. And I think that we need to retreat a little bit from everyone says it's bad to retreat from the world. No, I think it's good for a little bit. Like let's concentrate on ourselves.
I mean, you brought up Dunkin' Donuts. Do we have to sell them to the entire world? Do we need? You want to be walking around next to the Seine and look up and there's a Kentucky Fried Chicken.
No,
blah, blah.
I know.
That's why people hate us.
I mean,
because
it's
we
possible.
won't stop pushing that shit.
But if you go to some of the countries, it's like Dunkin' Donuts is certainly better than like acid attacks and genital mutilation. You know what I mean? It's like,
but I'm saying,
what are we going to do today? You want to have a war again? Why don't we go to the Dunkin' Donuts and relax? Like, it's like, we are ruining maybe there are the examples of Paris and Rome where you don't want to see.
And Manhattan, by the way.
And Manhattan's become a mall. It's gross. But at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of third world countries with a lot of rough stuff going on where even our kind of disgusting brand of materialism isn't the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, but a lot of that stuff, blood diamonds, you could trace back to our corporations.
Yes, not
the
good.
The oil business has always been ugly. I mean, the fact that we don't have
very ugly.
If we don't have, let's face this, if we had a different fuel, I don't give a fuck what it was made out of.
Right.
We wouldn't give a shit what happened in the Middle East. They'd never see us over there.
True. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
It's a very good point.
We would probably ignore it just as much as we ignore Africa.
Yes, like sometimes in Africa, you're like, fuck them. But if it's the Middle East, we've got to get in there, figure out what's going on.
Africa, there's like horrible things happening. ISIS has been happening there for like centuries.
Right.
Nobody cares.
But we consider Africa a bad neighborhood.
It's a bad neighborhood. But then every now and then, like somebody I know just went on a safari in Africa, and he said, it feels weird to me that like it's so bad, but then there's like one of my friends who's got a ton of money is like over there posing with like a rhino. I'm like, this seems weird. Like, stay home. Stay in New Jersey. Like, don't do this.
Great adventure.
You don't get the rhino. Like, you unless you have to live, I think you should have to live in Africa for a year. If you're going to do that, you go there and exploit their poor animals. You should have to live there and defend yourself.
Here is Craig. Craig and Madison.
Ron Bennington.
Yes, sir.
I am calling from Jones Beach. I'm getting ready for Joe Walsh and Bad Company
that's
tonight.
Great. Yeah. Nice.
I am so psyched.
These are tickets you got from us?
Well, we got to the box, of course, but the tickets aren't there yet. I'm kind of nervous.
Well, you know what? Are no tickets there yet? It seems like you're very early for a Jones Beach show. Yeah.
Okay, my friend Mike's going to say hi. Here you go.
No, that's plenty. That's plenty.
It's all your fault, I guess, huh?
Yeah, there we go. All right, I'm going to put you on hold because I'm not going to be in this.
Okay.
Who'd we get the tickets from, Chris?
Thanks, Ron. I hope I make it home.
All right, I do too.
Beautiful day at the beach, though. It's great.
You're seeing a show you should have seen 40 years ago. I mean, I can't tell you how late you are to see Bad Company or Joe Walsh. It's a really long time ago that would have been an exciting night.
Better late than never.
I guess. I've never known anyone to show up at 2:30 for a Jones Beach show.
They are psyched.
Yeah. They're going to be those guys that are drunk.
They sound like they've already
They're going to get a Dewey before the show.
Oh, yeah.
Just in a parking lot.
I can't stand the fact that everybody feels like they have to go to a parking lot and barbecue and drink.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just fucking go to the show.
Go to the show and go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not supposed to be an all-day affair.
And that's literally all it is, Jones Beach. It's a big parking lot.
Yeah.
But I'm from Long Island. People from Long Island, we love parking lots. We love parkways.
Yeah.
We love drive. Me and my friends would just go for a drive.
Yeah.
And then when you meet people from the city or like sophisticated people, they treat you like an animal. Because it's like, we would just drive around on a Friday night and they're like, what's wrong with you?
See, I have a new intern and he's from Long Island. And I go, oh, so you're Republican? He goes, no, we're very liberal. I go, no. I fucking follow things. Long Island is always Republican.
Very conservative and very racist and weirdly racist in a weird way. Like people are very proud about having a Pakistani friend.
Yes.
You know, they're very proud of having a black friend.
Yeah.
They think they've done something really good. A lot of the guys that I know are growing up in the South Shore of Long Island. Many of them are DJs or personal trainers. They do steroids and they don't even nobody conceals the steroid use. They will argue with you how great HGH is, and they'll tell you that, listen, it doesn't have any negative effects in front of their parents and their mother and father. Be like, will you shut up about that HGH? And that's Long Island in a nutshell. It's just. It's a crazy, I love it and I love going back there. It's just a crazy group of people. I love the Brokerage Run Performance, one of my favorite clubs. I've had a woman walk on the stage while I was performing. I had a lady put her feet on the stage. People answer their phone. Yeah. I had a woman watching something on an iPad during, they have no, Long Island, they just don't give a shit.
What is the club, it's Governors, right? Seinfeld even went back when he had this, and he's from Long Island, and he had the show, and he's back there, and people are talking during the show, and he goes, how big do I have to get?
Yeah, before you shut up.
I get respect from the place that I grew up. They just don't have it in them.
I love those clubs. I love going back to them, and they're run by great people, but sometimes the audiences are crazy, and sometimes you get these weird fundraisers in Long Island that are these two, one's very serious and one's ridiculous. They're this is a fundraiser for the Seaford cheerleading team and brain cancer. Yeah. And you got to go up there if you're the host and you're like, hey, let's give it up for Seaford and hey, let's knock the shit out of this can. It's a weird, but that is Long Island in a nutshell. It's cheerleaders and brain cancer. That's what it is.
Long Island, let's face it, a piece dropped off of New England and just laid there. And then those people started getting New York TV. So they say that they're New Yorkers, but they're really like Boston people.
And they're proud of ignorance. It's Long Island's one of the only places, I have friends where you'll ask them about something and they laugh, telling you, they go like this and they smile. They're like, I don't know anything about that. And they're proud. They laugh right through it. I go, this whole thing about the Taliban. And they go, I don't know anything about that. As if it would be they're proud, they're happy. And it's because at their world, they are happy. They're like, thank God I don't know anything about that. Sounds horrible. Let's go to All American and get a burger. This sounds really raw. I don't want to think about ethnic cleansing. It's just a weird, they're proudly ignorant. It's a weird thing. But I love them because they will help you. All my friends in Long Island are good dudes. You could go to their house and go, I murdered somebody. I need your car. And they go, take the car. Just fill it up with gas. They don't care. They'll back you in a rape beef.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever it takes.
You know what I mean? They don't care how good her evidence is in Long Island.
But I wonder. I always wonder what would become of them if you just stopped the train to New York. The money would dry up. What would happen? Because they were just oyster fishermen a generation ago.
They would regress to clam diggers. It would just be these rich, Jewish American princesses in the Sound, just digging for clams and shucking oysters. I like these oysters. It's just, and it's funny because you got Long Island's got a lot. You got the trash, total white trash. You got the rich North Shore people who are just very, very wealthy. And then you got where I grew up is kind of the Guido-y Long Island medium. I do a joke about the Long Island medium and people get angry with me in Long Island. They start yelling at me. They go, she talked to my daughter. It's she didn't. She goes, one lady, in order, because my whole joke's about how Long Island, the whole thing's a sham. And one of the ladies goes, she predicted that my father and mother got me a teddy bear. So I think she's legit. And I'm like, well, that's the easiest fucking thing. What are you, how dumb are you? Right. Of course, that's the easiest.
I'm so surprised that she allowed herself, that she would have agreed to have a TV show. Right. Because if you watch 2 to 3 episodes in a row, you're like, oh, so she just tells you her gimmick.
Right.
She lays it out where every single time she's saying oh, your mother passed? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have something of hers that is significant to you? Yeah, I have her locket. What person didn't have their mother pass that you don't have a piece of jewelry of hers?
Right. But it's I kind of like Long Island because I like hucksters and cons, and she's an old school cool con, and it's almost like she whispers into the camera, like, "Watch how I get these people."
Yeah.
You know, their kid died in a jet ski accident. Watch this.
Yeah, it's all straight corny, and you should never in life feel bad for the rubes.
That's 100%.
fucking.
Yeah.
You know, it's your
100%.
job to know you're being played.
And these people, they give her everything too, because they want.
And they start crying as soon as she walks in, like something magical has already happened.
Right.
And it's insane. And then she goes like this. She goes like this. She wants you to know that she loved you.
Yeah.
And they go, "Hey, thank you." It's never like she wants you to know that she knew you were stealing from her at the end. Like she knew you were taking money out of her pocketbook. She knew that you wanted to sell that house as soon as she dropped dead. She knew. Like
She
it's never
was
that.
shocked after she died when she found out you wore panties. The angels told her she thought you were great, but now she knows the truth.
Yeah.
Chris, you met her in the hall before, right?
Yeah.
Did she try to work you, or
it was
Gail?
Gail?
No, it was me. She passed me in the hallway, and she was like, "Oh my God, I feel like I know you." And I was like, "Nope."
Right.
She was just like, no, there's something about you. I feel like I know you. And I was like, "You don't." Like,
see, she'd get me because I used to sell like mortgages, so I'm easily sold. Like I go into that stuff really hard. So if she got me, I'd be like, "No, she's good." Like I would stop doing that bit. I'd be like, "No, she's right.
Yeah,
she's right." I did have a grandmother that died. I don't know how she knew that.
But you know what? She's not doing anything that any telemarketer doesn't do.
She's taking people that
you know,
deserve to be taken.
Yeah, but she does it better than anybody else.
Yeah, she's good at it. But then she bombs every now and then. She went on Regis. She went on Kelly and Michael.
Yeah,
and it's great if you want to YouTube that clip where she just bombs and she's going down swinging. And she's like, "Listen, if I say something, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily for you. It means I piggyback on. You know, spirit tells me all kinds of things. Do you have a mother, a father, a sister, a brother? Has anyone died from the head or the neck or the chest? That's my favorite thing. What does that even mean? Has anyone died from the head or the neck or the chest or the legs? It's like, yeah, someone died at some point in their body. Has anyone died on their body from the head or the neck? I feel something from the head or the neck. Is it you? It could be you. It doesn't matter." And then it's like she does this whirlwind of bullshit where it's almost like I'm sitting back. I'm like, "Okay, connect, get her." It's like watching a comic die. You don't want to watch a comic bomb.
Isn't it true?
And yeah, because even the guys I hate, like I want to see them struggle. I never want to see them all out bomb because
particularly on TV, it can be very.
Right.
There's nothing worse,
and you could tell how uncomfortable like Kelly Ripa was. Like Kelly Ripa, because you know Kelly Ripa tries to put a great spin on everything.
Yeah,
Kelly's like, "Well, this is such an interesting," and it's just such a nightmare. But again, you couldn't do it. People are too sophisticated, I think, to do that in like Massachusetts. Like it's got to be the Long Island medium.
Well, there's an A or an R or a P in the name. Yes, that's it. It's Amy, and she was connected to you by
blood.
It's so funny how people will start and help out and fill that in
because they want that desperate kid. They want to know that there is a heaven, and then afterwards they get to talk to this gypsy. Can you imagine being in heaven and having this idiot be like, "Excuse me, it's Teresa from Long Island." Like, who the fuck?
This is the one person you can.
Yeah, you just spent 6 months dying of cancer so that Teresa could contact you in heaven to help her ratings on TLC or whatever the fuck she's on. It's a nightmare.
Well, that entire idea of heaven just sounds exhausting.
Right.
Like we've just are going to have the same family responsibilities we have here. Like now I have great grandparents that I have to check on. It's too much.
It would be nice if it was just a nice peaceful rest. Like my grandmother always used to say, "It's just a rest."
It's just like,
it's just a rest.
It's like being on heroin with none of the downsides.
Right. It's just a big shot of heroin forever.
Yeah. But when people are like, "Wouldn't you like to play guitar with Hendrix?" I'm like, I don't know if he'd want to play guitar with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sure a lot of people.
Why is it that people think that all the social restraints that held them back before will no longer exist? Like, don't you think you feel uncomfortable and awkward to come up? Like, no, we all become friends.
Yeah, everyone, you're just going to get in the room with Hendrix.
Yeah, and then not say anything stupid to him.
Yeah.
Not say something that you didn't think of as racist. You know, you're just, you know, you're like, yeah, you know, he's going to go, "What do you mean best black guitar player you've ever heard?" Like, no, I didn't mean it that way. I don't want to get having off to a bad start here. I'm just saying a lot of great white guitar players, and we'll leave it at that. Tim Dillon is sitting in with us. He's back at Brokerage in Belmore, New York on Sunday, June 26th, 7:30. Brokerage.govs.com. And his Twitter is at Tim J. Dillon. Tim J. Dillon. Chris, other stuff we need to plug before we shut this down today?
Big J. Oaks Unmasked airing this Friday at 2 p.m.
That should be fun.
Gonna be great.
And also, you guys are both doing the Skanks Fest.
The Skanks Fest, which is the what are they?
We're on the mashup show, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to come all the way there, but if he FaceTimes,
it would be nice to see you in person.
Can I tell you something? The amount of times that I'll agree to anything that's far away is immense.
Yeah.
There's nothing I turn down if it's 3 months out.
How far are you from Queens?
Well, there's a river in between.
Okay, all right.
And again, someone says that there's a train that runs under it. I doubt it. That seems impossible.
Yeah, it's hearsay.
Yeah. A magical Harry Potter train that somehow you go through the river. It can't happen. So Queens is out of the way, but just leaving the house is always like, then you got to go out.
Yeah.
And I'm already home.
Right.
Why didn't you catch me when I was at work? Why can't we just do this at
and
work?
It's not a fun experience like the Long Island Railroad where you get to see fights.
Yeah.
And I saw a fist fight on the railroad the other day, and a guy hit another guy, and the guy's blood went all over my barbecue chicken pizza.
No.
And this was 2:30 in the morning, Long Island Railroad. And then I'm not paying attention. I'm sitting in the car. They stop at a Jamaica, and all of a sudden everyone gets out of the car. I'm thinking everyone's just getting off Jamaica. But no, the cops are now here. And then they start washing the train with like some type of chemical that I'm inhaling, and now I can't breathe.
Right.
And I'm like, what do they do? Nobody told me to get off.
They're killing AIDS.
Yeah, they're killing AIDS. And it's just so that's always a nice thing. But, be good to see you if you can make it.
Well, no, I'll definitely be there once I commit. But always, if you ever want me to do anything, make it 4 months out.
Yeah.
I will agree to anything. But if anyone said, well, can you do something tomorrow or next weekend? Oh, absolutely not.
Right.
I couldn't possibly come over and pick up money for no reason.
Right.
But you could say, can I break your thumb in 4 months? I'll be like, of course.
Yeah.
I don't even think the world will be around then.
Right. It may not be.
Good to see you again, Tim.
Thanks for having me in, guys.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Seriously,
it.
and I'm very, very happy, and I don't joke with you that we're always hearing great stuff
Okay,
about
well,
you.
hopefully you continue to,
At Gethard, stick with that guy. He's gonna, he's the new Regis.
He's great. I hope so. I hope he is.
Yeah, me too. I
think
love.
he's just a great dude, in and out.
Well, he's also one of those guys that he's a 24-hour worker. No one ever
Works.
just because stuff looks silly doesn't mean it doesn't take an intense amount of work.
He works so hard.
Yeah, and is naturally funny and in a weird way. All right, that's it for us. We'll see everybody again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!